And Bim, here we are, party people. Welcome to a Dope Soul Sports Talk collabo with Lawrence Tears. I am here with the Queen, Queen Steph. I'm your main man, the number one chief rocket Knicks universe, Uncle Freezy, and we are going to talk about some tough topics tonight. So if having conversations are not your thing, this may not be it, but we're going to be as truthful and as truthful and thoughtful as we can about these topics that I think we don't discuss because, quite frankly, I think some of these topics intimidate the fan base. Queen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. It's always a pleasure to share to stream with you, and I appreciate you reaching out. And I'm looking forward to the topic.
Okay. Here we go. So the first question I sent to you was this: is it time for us to consider what the national media is saying about the Knicks may be true? Is it time?
I think it depends on which narratives you're talking about.
Okay.
There's some narratives that's just clickbait, and no, the Knicks don't need to listen to that. The Knicks don't deserve Donovan Mitchell, all of the past stuff. That stuff, I don't think, no, we don't need to listen to that. But the other things you were telling me about, those other narratives, yeah, there may be some truth to that. So absolutely.
I have one that disturbs me. I can't figure out what is true and what is what is true and what is fiction. I don't want to say totally false. I don't want to say totally false. I want to use another word, even though fiction might be the same. I have the same meaning. But one narrative that I hear in the national media, and it disturbs me, is that maybe it's time for the Dolans to sell the team. And that disturbs me because for the most part, aside from winning a championship, the Dolans haven't been such bad owners. Aside from the winning part, and winning is everything. But checks hadn't been bouncing. They don't go on hiatus and not go after free agents. Right. For the most part, the Dolans are always looking to improve this basketball team. Now, do they do it correctly?
Right.
No.
Right.
But the effort is there.
Right.
So much it might be OD. It might be over the top.
Right.
Effort at certain points in this Knicks history, But I don't know if I wanted to consider that question because, quite honestly, I'm nervous that another owner will come in and be like what the Wilpons were for the Mets.
Right.
Tuck their checkbook and just work on making money and not consider the team.
Correct. That's correct. I mean, listen, if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, when Dolan was meddling, in my opinion, and really didn't have much of a basketball mind, but was trying to make basketball decisions, I think it would be a different conversation. But since then, only thing I've seen is someone who is willing to pay whatever it takes.
Right.
Who, if the team is not going in the right direction, he'll cut the front office short, move on to the next one, give them a few years, move on to the next one. And I don't even get the sense, and pay them. And I don't even get the sense that he's moving on prematurely.
Right.
That Isaiah Thomas, he had his run. Phil Jackson, when he finally got fired, I remember waking up and hearing the news like, finally. I mean,
it kind of so long.
Right. What took so, and he could have only been there a year or two, but it was too much, in terms of he was doing too much.
Right.
So that, to me, I don't see that as the issue right now. I think the issue right now is the front offices that's been hired have to do a better job. It's not because of lack of money. It's not because the owner Dolan is hamstringing them. They're
Right.
just not making good decisions.
It seems as if he is equipping these front offices with too much resource, which sounds counterintuitive, right?
Right.
It sounds counterintuitive. Like, why would Dolan operate this team as a big market team, knowing that we get small market results?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need a water hose to fill up an 8-ounce cup.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's one of those deals where if Dolan is operating like this and the resources are unlimited, the Knicks are the highest value team, and all the high profile and all this stuff, and the championships aren't coming, and we're basically getting small market results. Is it maybe should Dolan consider maybe bringing in a small market mindset guy, somebody less high profile, to run things, or should the Dolans, for the sake of New Yorkers, consider selling the team?
I don't think so, but you bring up a very good point. If I had one criticism, it's the hiring of the front office, these high profile, Isaiah Thomas, Phil Jackson, even Leon Rose didn't have experience, but he has these relationships.
Worldwide West.
Right. Let's get them. Maybe they'll be the ones to bring us the talent, as opposed to, no, who's the assistant to the assistant for OKC or for San Antonio or somebody like that who's been doing it for years and a successful franchise, and maybe he doesn't have a lot of notoriety.
Troy Weaver, the guy from Detroit, the guy that took the Detroit job, worked under Sam Presti in OKC.
Right.
And right now, you can see where the Pistons are turning the corner.
Right.
And they are similar to us, and they had a top 3 pick, right, in the draft. They also had a cast-off journeyman power forward come to their team to revive his career, right? They also have a young forward that they want to showcase that they think has some potential. They also have a defensive-minded guard that doesn't score, that hopes he unlocks his offensive upside. So they have similar issues like that we have, right?
Right.
But what we don't have, and that they have a future.
Right.
It's like you could see where they went from being god awful to just awful to bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can see them taking a step. They're still not good, but you see the progress. With the Knicks, when you look at the win-loss records, you can see 1 year we won 17 games, we got RJ or whatever the record was. But when you look at this team, you don't see a star. You don't see a Jaden Ivey. You don't see a Cade Cunningham on this roster. Right? Is RJ going to be as good as Cade Cunningham? That's one of those questions. That's one of those questions that we may have to talk about this show.
Yeah.
Like what would you do with RJ? But in terms of what the national media says, I do think it may be about time for us to stop, get out of the bunkered in mentality and listen to other people and listen to their advice. Because we've been doing it our way for so long that maybe it's time to consider taking advice for other people.
Yeah, I mean, again, thoughtful advice, yes. The clickbaity people, the clickbaity advice, the people who are not really plugged in but still talking, no. But people who are plugged in, yeah, you may be right. And back to, again, what you just said, I just want to reiterate it. If I had any complaint with James Dolan, is not his money, is not his desire to win, is who he's picking to head up these front offices.
Okay. All right. So would you be open to a firm making the selection the next time this happens?
don't know about a firm. I mean, a firm that's made up of basketball people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What team recently did that? Hired a firm or hired a group of people to
To
vet
hire.
candidates, to give a list of candidates that they would bring in to interview.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you're a front office, sometimes you're plugged in, sometimes you're not. So
Right.
you're gonna go with the big names. But when you hire a firm, that's what they do.
Right.
So they'll be able to come back to you with a list of names, and some you may be familiar with and some not, in terms of their accomplishments as well.
Yeah. Right. Right. But NFL teams do it all the time. They
And
hire
NFL
firms,
team, yeah. Yep.
and college football teams, they do it all the time.
Mhm.
They go out and get an independent firm that searches the landscape for the best candidates
Right.
for the position that you have available,
Right.
based on the terms and the way that you like to have this position
Right.
done, right? And so for instance, I don't know if I'm going to say this, and I'm going to upset some Tom Thibodeau fans, but I'm just going to say it anyway.
Mhm.
Based on where we are today versus where we were in the hiring process, right? I think Tom Thibodeau was a decent candidate then. I don't know if he's a great fit for where we are today. If that makes any sense. And I know it's only 2 seasons later.
Right. I will say this. A lot of it depends on what the Knicks are trying to do. If you're going young, no. But when Tom Thibodeau was brought in, he was brought in with the expectations that I'm guessing, in my opinion, with the expectation that the Knicks would get the players that's needed to compete. You don't bring in a 64-year-old or 62, 3, however old he was at the time,
Right.
to coach a young team, right? Unless you're saying, I want our young players to learn discipline. I want them to learn, how to, watch film or things like that. But usually you go with a developmental coach. And I think that's what happened. The Knicks were expecting to land some players and build a bit more quickly and have Tibbs as the coach. And I think that fell through.
I think it fell through also.
I think they fell through, and you're absolutely right. If you're going young, you're going to keep the young players. You may want to change the coach and go with a more developmental coach. But I'm going to say, Freezy, I don't think that's what the Knicks are trying to do. The Knicks are they signed Brunson. They're trying to get Donovan Mitchell. And I believe they're going to make another move as well. I don't think the Knicks are going the developmental route.
Right.
Because they had every opportunity in the draft to do so.
Right. I think there was a situation where the Knicks could have left the draft with Ousmane Dieng or Jalen Duren or both. I'm not for sure.
Both.
Right. But you could have left if the rebuild was the issue. Then you could have signed both of those 2 players that you drafted for about the same money that you paid Isaiah Hartenstein. Right. And don't knock on Hartenstein because I think they signed him for a reason. I think they think this dude is going to be good. Right. But here's the thing. The national media has been telling us some of this stuff for years. Like, yo, New York Knicks, do it like everybody else. Stop trying to do it the New York City way and do it like everybody else. Do it the Orlando way. Do it the Golden State Warriors. No, OKC. I think OKC's an anomaly because I don't think a franchise can draft 3 MVPs and with one GM in one lifetime. I think that's impossible. I don't know if that'll ever happen again. Maybe that's I think that was the perfect storm, right? And then after those three MVPs left, then they had all types of Hall of Famers rotate in and out. Paul George, Chris Paul, you know what I'm saying? So, and the Knicks can't do that. They don't have the ability to rotate Hall of Famers in and out. Right now, our best player is Julius Randle.
Right.
What I would say is maybe do it the Detroit Pistons way. Just just take on some bad contracts for draft picks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then let them young kids play and get destroyed like JV versus varsity, but they learn because by that time when the JV gets to varsity, they battle tested, right? Right?
But Freezy, that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been doing.
Okay.
Going into the draft. I mean, you can only draft based on the position, right? We haven't had number one picks. What have we been doing? We haven't been in the playoffs. We've been in the lottery since 2013. Well, 2013 we went to. I think since 2014 we've been in the lottery. That's all we've been doing is drafting young players, drafting young players, drafting young players. The difference is, in order to build through the draft, you got to hit on one of those picks.
That's what I was going to say to you. That's what I was going to say to you.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it's not about the draft. It's about the selector. It's not about the where you pick in the draft.
Correct.
Because we've seen for years Jokic, Giannis, Paul George, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, all these guys. Some of these guys we passed over. For guys we thought should be better. We passed over Donovan Mitchell. Every time I think about it, we drafted Frank Ntilikina instead of Donovan Mitchell or Malik Monk.
Correct.
Or Kyle Kuzma. Right? And then the next draft, we take Kevin Knox over SGA or Michael Porter. So it's not about, in my opinion, because I know there's a lot of tankers out there that say, yo, we should turn this thing into a tankathon. We should just tank every year until we get our guy. And I don't want to do that because I think legacy means something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to look back on my past and say I could have did better. Right? We all know when y'all get older, for some of y'all viewers out there, when you get older, you'll realize that you can't rewrite history.
Right.
Like when you look back at the stuff that you could have did, you know what I'm saying? You can't change that. That's why I always say, man, you gotta be the best version of yourself today.
Right.
And that's what I want the Knicks to do. I want the Knicks to be the best version of themselves today. Stop playing it safe all the time and stop gambling. Stop. The Knicks make me want to jump out of a Queen. You remember the old cowboy movies where somebody would just throw the drunk cowboy out the plate glass window?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like sometimes. Like, why are you just throwing a drunk cowboy out the plate glass window, right? Yeah. They gamble on the sure things, right? They gamble on the sure thing, and then play it safe in other areas.
Right.
And so I'm saying, if you're gonna gamble and miss, right, why you gambling? I'm gonna bunt right here. There's nobody looking. No, man, you don't butt right there. You take your home run swing right there.
Right.
And teams that do that, they'll take that gamble. They'll gamble on a 6'1" shooting combo guard out of Louisville because if they miss, so what? But if they hit, they have an all-star. But the Knicks are like, nah, we only like 6'6" shooting guards. And matter of fact, we had one last year. How did that work out?
Right. Yeah. There was something else. Somebody said in the chat, you have to develop those picks. Listen, you're not going to tell me that Frank Ntilikina didn't become somebody because the Knicks didn't develop him. I'm just sorry. You're not going to tell me that Knox didn't become an all-star player or a much better player because the Knicks didn't develop them. The organization has something to do with it. You don't want to, make it tough for them, but the players have to come out and be those type of players. You know what I mean? So I don't think there was any Knick that we gave up on that went on to blossom into an all-star. Right. Frank Ntilikina wasn't playing in Dallas, barely. Knox wasn't playing in Atlanta, barely. So I'm barely playing. So it's not that, the Knicks didn't develop these guys and they went somewhere else and that organization developed them. No, it didn't. They're just not picking the right guys.
Right. It frustrates me because I think the national media is telling us this, right? The national media is telling us this, and we ignore the national media. Like for instance, Fran Fraschilla said that on the night that Frank Ntilikina was drafted, they were saying that Frank Ntilikina has a 4% success rate of being an NBA starter. This is what he said based on some kind of math. They had it on this big old screen and all this stuff. And I was like, man, Fran Fraschilla just said that on ESPN. He don't know what he's talking about. This is the Knicks, baby. Frank Ntilikina is the next great Knicks point guard. This is what I'm thinking. Right. And then the next year, he's like, Kevin Knox has an 8% chance of being a superstar in the NBA. And I was like, man, ESPN hate us. They hate us. They hate us. Why do they always hate on us? And yeah, and Kevin Knox didn't turn out to be nothing. And so I'm not saying that I want to go to their side. I'm not stepping to the bad side. Step into the bad side. I'm not doing that, right? But what I would say is I would at least consider listening to what they have to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying compromise with anybody that's been against us for years. What I am saying is maybe it's time to listen. Maybe it's time to like chat. Y'all ever been in an argument with somebody and you yelling at the top of your lungs, like, and then something just tell you, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to stop yelling and just listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then you get in that moment where you just listen. You're like, oh, that's what you were saying? Okay. My bad. I couldn't hear you because some idiot was yelling. My bad. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm asking. Is it time for us to consider, like, maybe listening to what this national media has to say? Maybe I'm not saying that ESPN or Fox or whoever is not so bad. What I'm saying is we can't be the only smart people in the universe. That's what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, again, Freeze, it depends on what they're saying.
I get it.
It depends on what they're saying. I was listening to, and let me know if I'm getting off topic. I was listening to Sirius XM, and Sam Mitchell was talking about Sam Mitchell was the coach of Toronto. For those who didn't know, at some point he was coach of the year, and he said, the Knicks. He doesn't know if the Knicks should trade for Donovan Mitchell because trading for Donovan Mitchell doesn't put them in the top 4. Okay. And then he said some other things. What does that signing do for RJ Barrett? Will he get enough touches? Things like that. But at least I can appreciate that it was a thoughtful discussion. I disagreed. I mean, just because a one trade doesn't put you in the top 4 doesn't mean you don't make the trade, right?
Right.
But it was a thoughtful conversation. I can listen to that. I can disagree with it. I can listen to it. Those conversations, Freezy, yes, I think we should, as fans, we should listen. And I wonder if the front office, if they're not listening, at least have somebody internally that's having those same thoughts.
Question. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference? Because what you're saying is you were listening to a rational individual speak about a subject that he had no vested interest in.
Right.
So he could be as honest as possible because there was no emotional or intellectual attachment to the Jazz, the Knicks, RJ, or Mitchell.
Right.
Right. But here's my question for you: is at what point do we go from listening to the conversation to engaging in that conversation?
What I'm hoping is that the Knicks front office internally, we got about 50 people in the front office. I'm hoping that they're having these internal discussions with that same discussion.
Right.
Where is Donovan Mitchell going to put us if we trade him? Right. We shouldn't do it because it's not going to put us in the top 4. And I'm hoping there's somebody else that's going to say, well, does it have to put us in the top? So in other words, I'm hoping the front office is having this same conversation.
So with themselves or with outside sources?
probably with themselves. I'm not sure how many front offices have those conversations with outside sources.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right. Like say for
And if
instance,
it's diversified enough, you're gonna get different opinions. If it's only two people.
Right. I feel you. What I'm asking, and what I'm asking is I, if I'm a front office person with some type of cachet and I'm allowed to, I would sit down and talk to, say, a Mark Jackson, right? And say, hey, Mark, listen, you understand that we ran the pick and roll such and such number of times. You understand that we just signed Jalen Brunson. He does such and such. You know who Jalen Brunson is. You've been calling his games all year. Is a Donovan Mitchell trade impactful for enough for us in order for us to spend the amount of resources we would have to spend in order to bring him here? And if we bring him here, does that automatically mean we have to make another move? You know what I'm saying to support the Mitchell move? And if that is the case, right? If Mitchell is not enough, why don't we just take those resources that we were going to spend for Mitchell and the other guy, combine them, and just go get the guy? Right? These are the type of conversations I'm talking about. Like okay, so if I got to go get a Donovan Mitchell and an OG and an Obi, why don't I just damn the torpedoes and just go get Kevin Durant? And I know the people in the chat will be like, man, this ain't 2K and blah blah blah. I'm not saying do it. What I'm saying is these are the type conversations in my mind I feel like we should be having, because if you feel like you have the resources, if you feel like you're close, because you have to understand where you are in the moment, right? You have to understand where you are in the moment, and I know awareness. Queen, I know you probably have this conversation a lot with young people that don't have awareness, that they don't understand the moment that they're in. Right, like I have a 23-year-old daughter. Was like, she got mad. It was like, I gotta get my life together. And I was like, yo, life together? You 23? What you talking about?
Oh, that's a good point. But that's good that she said it. There's some people 30 years old.
Yeah, they don't say it, right?
Think they got time.
Right.
You know?
Right. And I was telling her, she was like, I just gotta get my life together. And I was like, just wait, just tack on about 30 years, and then you'll see what you know what I mean? Right. Tack on some years, you know what I mean? Right. So what I guess what I'm getting at ultimately is the conversation about this. Like, as Knicks fans, I don't think we know where we are in real time. I think we are hell-bent on three things at the moment. We hate Julius Randle. We gotta fire Tibbs and get Donovan Mitchell here at all costs. Right? And so we're so focused on those three things that we don't look at stuff like, how good can Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes really be? Right? What's their upside? What is this kid Hartenstein? Why did you pay him $8 million, but you didn't pay Nerlens Noel his $8 million, and Noel could come off the books next year? And Noel already thrived in your system, right? And he knows the system. Right. So why would you move Noel for Hartenstein? Right? Does that mean you guys know something about Hartenstein that we don't know? Or did you guys know something about Nerlens Noel that we didn't know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're paying. We raised hell about the money we were paying Kemba, and we turned around and gave it to a backup center in Isaiah Hartenstein. These are the type things, like, we hate Randall so much that we don't think our way through processes.
Right.
Am I too presumptuous on some of this stuff, or are these the type conversations you feel like we need to be having?
I think it's conversations we need to have, but I will say that most of the fan base, at least that I've come in contact with, they're all for letting Obi and IQ and Grimes marinate and see what their ceiling is.
Right.
But actually, they want the Knicks to keep them
Right.
and let them grow.
Right.
But I don't think we've ever had an honest conversation about what their ceiling actually is.
Right. Yep.
Right. So, and the way I see it is more like we should keep them because they're ours, and not really what's the ceiling of an IQ. Obviously,
Right.
somebody, what are the chances that IQ reaches his ceiling? What's the chances that Obi reaches his ceiling? What's the chances that Grimes reaches? Those are the conversations we don't have.
Right.
I think it's
Right.
just, those are our guys. They're young. They're exciting. Give them a chance. Let's see where they go. Not
Right.
projecting where they might be able to go. Let's just keep them and see. Because I don't think as fans, we understand that this is not happening in a vacuum. You can't
Right.
just be like, let's see it. And you got a runway of 5 years, 7 years. It doesn't work like that.
Hey, so is this environment conducive for them to thrive? This environment we're in right now?
For the young guys to thrive?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I think so. I mean, well, it depends on what you mean by thrive. If by thrive you mean play major minutes, no, it's not that. It's not that type of environment.
Okay.
Because the Knicks are still trying to win. The Knicks are
Right.
still trying to put the best play, who they consider, and this is Tibbs, the best players on the floor.
Okay.
Right? If you're going to developmental route,
Right.
you're going to give your young guys the runway, and you're going to let them play 28, 30, 32, 34 minutes a game, and you're going to get rid of the other guys.
Right. I don't think minutes equate to development.
I don't.
I think role and responsibility
right
equate to development, right? Because
Yeah.
for all the Tibbs bashing we did last year, Obi Toppin played 17 minutes a game.
Mhm.
We said he don't play enough, right? And so the thing is people question it. They were like, well, Tibbs played him 50 minutes a game down the stretch. Well, you can't have it both ways, right? So you can't say the average is up because he played the large majority of that at the end of the season. First of all, that's not true. You know what I'm saying? He did play a lot of minutes towards the end of the season, but he was playing significant minutes during the season, right? What I would like to do with these young kids is see their responsibilities increased, right? I want to see Obi in high leverage situations. I want to see Obi on the floor when the Knicks are holding on to a 3-point lead with 4 minutes left to go in the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to see Obi play in fourth quarters on the back end of a back-to-back against the NBA champs. I want to see Obi play in Sacramento 20 minutes and then play the next night at Golden State and be in that fourth quarter and have to dig down deep and do something in order for us to get this W. Right? I want to see Emmanuel quickly take on certain role, be that secondary ball handler next to a point guard and do that on a nightly basis, get other people involved. I want to see quickly go to RJ and say, RJ, stop hogging the ball. I want to see, no, Randle, not bringing the ball up. Get your 255-pound butt down the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I want to see quickly in those type of situations. I want to see Grimes like, no, coach, I can put this ball on the floor. Why am I spotting up for a guy that's not even a post player? He can't shoot. He ain't no threat. Why am I in the corner with Jericho Sims in the game? I should be handling the ball. Jericho Sims catch the ball. He's not doing anything with it.
Right.
I want to see them increase. And no, I'm not going Sims. I'm not bashing Sims. What I'm saying is, we are who we are. Everybody knows. Everybody know that, right? So what I'm saying is I don't care about the minutes thing because I think the minutes thing gets overblown a lot. Because think about this: if you put Obi and Quickly and Grimes on the floor with RJ and Randle,
mm-hmm.
they just dudes on the floor with RJ and Randle.
Right.
They don't have no responsibility. They're not taking RJ responsibility.
Right.
They for sure ain't taking. You think Randle gonna spot up? Cause somebody on the floor? No.
Right.
No. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what Knicks fans say about the minutes. I just want to see them embrace these roles to see what we have. And I thought we saw a snapshot of that when we played Miami. When we beat Miami in Miami, when they had those ugly Miami Vice uniforms, the half and half unis or whatever it was. You saw McBride, Quickly, Grimes, RJ, Obi out on the floor. And Tibbs wasn't taking them out. They look over the bench. Tibbs turned his back. They dead tired. He's like, y'all want to play? Y'all playing. Y'all said y'all want to play, right? Y'all playing. Don't look at me because you tired. You know what I'm saying? And Tibbs let them play. And what they learned how to do is play through rough stretches.
Right.
And be responsible. McBride came. I'm sorry. Yeah, Deuce McBride came down, got them in bad offense, quickly went to him and got the ball. Like, no, you play off the ball here because we can't have 3 bad offensive possessions in a row. That's nice to see from Quickly. You want to see young guys doing stuff like that.
Right.
Like, no, we missed 2 shots in a row. You know, they done cut the lead to 4. We need a surefire. We need a good shot right here. Right. That's what I would like to see from the young kids. And I know the minutes thing is something that you can quantify. High leverage minutes is something that you can't.
Right.
But it's just that. I just need to see that.
Right. I mean, I think we saw that with Quick because I think over his first 2 years, we've saw him in multiple positions, probably except for, I mean, he started a few games as well, but he's closed games as well. He's been, you know, especially his first year, that 6-man, so to speak, that come off the bench shooter. So we've seen Quickly over his first 2 years in multiple roles. Right. But he's probably the only one. But I think in order for that to happen, it has to be one or two things: a trust factor that you're going to play Obi or Grimes or McBride in the waning moments of a close game because you trust them, or you're in development mode.
Or you're in development. Hate for it to be cut and dry.
Right. Or you're in development mode. Other than that, they're not going to be in those type of situations.
Right. And just real quick on the national media thing, just one more time, because I gotta
Sure.
I think the national media does have an axe to grind versus the Knicks, right? But does that grinding axe come from the Knicks doing something to the national media? Or is the national media holding a grudge against the Knicks because the Knicks are doing something to them?
I think it's just the Knicks have lost for so long as a franchise that they're just not really taken seriously. And I think it's going to take some time to change that narrative. So if you report on something and you can report on it in an even way, or you can report on it in a little negative, slight way to the Knicks, because of the fact that we haven't been winning and we don't have that, we just don't have a good aura around the team. We haven't been winning.
Right.
The Knicks are going to get the slights. I don't know if the Knicks did anything other than not win. Now, as of late, you know, with not, you know, allowing, you know, the national, even the local media in the, you know, Jalen Brunson's introduction, you know, is that the Knicks way of saying, you know what? We've gotten so much negative coverage. You know, we're going to control the narrative now, and we're not going to allow you to come in and turn this around and come out and put out, you know, stories that really doesn't have anything to do with us, you know, because you want to talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade, you know, and what have you. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to say as of late, the Knicks are doing something to the national media by not inviting them in when they don't have to, then, yeah, I guess you can say the Knicks are.
Okay. Hey, so I spoke to you about this backstage, and I know we didn't prepare for it, but if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to. But I think it's time for us to have the discussion. What are we gonna do with RJ Barrett? If you don't want to talk about RJ Barrett, we don't have to.
I should have left the seltzer water. I should have brought something else.
It's something stronger. Somebody go get me a drink.
You know what? I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just going to put it out there. The report that the Utah Jazz seems to now have had conversations about putting RJ Barrett in the trade, right? I don't know where the Knicks are with that, but this is what I will say.
Right.
If the Knicks are a competent front office, I'm not saying it's something you do, but you have to have the conversation. If you're a competent front office, you have to ask yourself, RJ Barrett is up for a contract. The Knicks have to extend them before the start of the season.
Right.
So the Knicks have to ask themselves, do we want to give RJ Barrett anywhere from $25 to $36 million a year, and he may potentially be the third option on this team? Do we want to give him that money and he not even get a lot of shots because there's only so many so many shots to go around? Brunson has the ball. He could take a shot whenever he wants. And obviously Donovan Mitchell would be the best player on our team. So he would take whatever shots he want. Do we want to pay 27 to 36 million for somebody who's not going to even get a lot of shots? And then the last thing they have to ask themselves, can we get similar production from someone else for less money? Now, as a fan, we drafted RJ. He was our third pick. There's emotional ties. We saw him last year take that next step. We ain't trying to hear all of that. But as a front office, you have to have that conversation. I'm not saying you do it, but you got to have the conversation if you're a competent front office.
Man, chat, y'all know I'm old school to my heart. I can't help it. Soon as Queen said them emotions, I was thinking about that H-Town song, Emotions Make You Cry Sometimes. That's what, soon as she said that was right on my, I was like, God dog it, she just went straight in my chest. Oh, listen, man, hey, Queen, I'm with Chat. Some of y'all don't even remember H-Town. Don't worry about it, man. It ain't nothing, right? But man,
you got to have the conversation.
You gotta have a conversation, right? But the thing is, when you don't win championships, the two things NBA teams value, or the three things, I'm sorry. The three things NBA teams value: championships, superstars, draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
You're always in the hunt is on for that. Right. Because ultimately you would hope the draft pick turns into a superstar and gets you a championship, right?
Right.
But when you don't have the championship, you're searching for the superstars. Right. And when you don't have the superstars, you're searching for the draft picks, right?
That you hope will, because it's all about, for most of us, I question all of us, but for most of us, it's about eventually winning the chip.
You're right. Yeah. And so when you speak to the point of having the conversation about trading RJ, and listen, chat, the point is, at what point do you consider having the conversation? This is not about activity. Right. This is not about activity, making a move, putting them on the block. No, this is not that. This is not that. This is not a trade RJ, get what you can type scenario. This is a strictly one of the situations so I had a car that I loved and I drove it forever. That was my joint, gave him a name and everything. You know what I'm saying? Named it. You know you love a car when you name it, right? So name the car and everything. Time to go get a new car because you know what I'm saying, I gotta meet Jay Boogie and Rob the Nick in all these cities and stuff. And I can't be driving the big dog out these places and then be broke down on 26. You know what I'm saying? So Time to go get a car. Man said, "Hey man, this is our asking price." And I'm like, oh. He's like, "Well, do you have a trade-in that you can?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh, you got one. You got one, don't you?" Oh God, dog it. Yes, I do. I do have a vehicle that I can trade. And I look at the window at Big Dog, and Big Dog all dirty, and the back door be sticking. You know, you have a car so long it had the little ticks with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, "Yo, if you put Big Dog down, you know what I'm saying, this is the asking price, and then, you're looking at a payment of this, but look at what you're getting." And I looked out there at what I'm getting, and then I looked and then I looked at Big Dog, and then I looked over there at what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying? And then I looked at Big Dog, and I'm like, God. Okay. But that place in my heart,
right.
I wasn't ready.
Right.
I wasn't ready to make that move. And I think that's where a lot of us are with RJ. We're not ready because RJ means something to us because we don't have the superstar and we don't have the championship. So that draft pick that we had, that draft pick means something special to us.
Correct.
Because he wanted to be here, man.
Right.
And so it's one of them things. So Louisiana Knicks, appreciate the generous contribution. Louisiana Knicks says, "Salute Uncle Freezy and Queen. What's RJ's ceiling?" Hey, we already get to that, and we trust. We are about to get to that. But Queen, having a conversation,
right?
Because ultimately, I don't think RJ is going to be all that stuff, that highly exalted stuff people are saying. I just think RJ Barrett is going to be a good player, memorable, right? A memorable player, kind of like, not statistically, but kind of like John Starks. What Starks meant to the Knicks. Statistically, he's not a Hall of Famer or maybe the best Knick ever, but Starks provided those moments, and he was here for a long time, right? I think RJ is somewhere. I think RJ is somewhere like 18, 19 points a game, 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, about 4 assists.
Wow, those are similar to the numbers I had for him as well.
Right.
But you said, John Stocks, I guess, was so streaky, but I think he did have years where he scored, probably 16, 17, 18 points a game.
Yeah.
But
he was mostly like 13, 14.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I see Barrett 17, 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, willing defender. Those are pretty good numbers. So I'm not even quite sure that just because you don't think RJ is going to be a superstar or a star, that's a bad thing. I think he's going to be a very good player. Right. I think he's going to be, if you have a championship team and you got RJ Barrett on your team, I think you're doing all right, because you need that glue guy who can take that, can go downhill, get to the foul line, a willing defender. He can rebound for you. He could play make. He could bring the ball up the court. Like, you need that all around type player on a championship team. And RJ Barrett is that. So for me, just because I don't think he's going to be a star or superstar doesn't mean that I don't think he's going to be a very good player. I think he is going to be, but you always, if you're a competent front office, you're always comparing what you can get versus what you have. You have to.
Right. And so I don't disagree with your saying, because basically what you're telling me is it's all about asset management.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I do that for a living. So like when you talk to me about asset management, I'm like, dang, she's speaking my language, man. You know what I'm saying? So I understand like the asset management piece. But I guess my anchor, the thing that I'm dragging, this big heavy anchor, is not RJ's stats or what RJ will be in the future or what he means to the team. The anchor that I'm dragging is my emotional attachment to drafting RJ Barrett third in the draft.
And you could even hear in the chat, and this is, we talked about this before the show. I'm sorry, guys, I'm dog sitting. A lot's going on. Hopefully, it's not too disruptive.
No, we good. We're good.
We talked about this before the show. Should we even have the conversation? Are Knicks fans ready to even broach the conversation? And then you see people in the chat. I'm not trading RJ Barrett. I'm not having. We just having real talk.
But responsible adults have to do that. Responsible adults have to weigh all the options. It's what we do. And first of all, I think the fact that you are pet sitting is a wonderful thing. I'm an animal lover. I got 2 dogs now. I have an old dog that's about 12 years old, and he was a stray. So I got him about 5 years ago. Right, he's the softest dog you ever met. He won't even bark. If it's like a stranger at the door, he'll come get me. Like, hey man, you better go check the door. You know what I'm saying? He is that soft, right? And then I have a 6-month-old pit bull terrier that is like that is like anything moving is getting the death stare.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
So
that's what I'm. So I think that's a great thing. Matter of fact, man, that's awesome, man, that you would even do that. That's dope.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But my thing with RJ is this: if RJ breaks out and becomes a superstar, man, I'm one of the happiest people on earth.
Right.
If RJ and his superstardom brings us multiple championships, I'm the happiest man on earth. Right. But at this moment, we have to weigh the pros and cons of not consolidating young talent for a guy that's on the verge of becoming a superstar. That's my do I like Quickly? Yes, I love Quickly. I love Quickly almost as much as I love RJ, and that's saying something, right? Everybody else, I call them ham sandwiches, but they are what they are. you know what I'm saying? They are what they are. Would I like to keep them? Yes. Would I like for them to develop? Yes. Would I like for them to develop into a young core like Orlando, when Orlando had Penny, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, Jeff Turner, Anthony Goldwire, Shaquille O'Neal, Tree Rollins, Scott. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen often enough for us to consider it. That's like a lightning strike. How often do you legit see the lightning strike the ground? A human being might see that once in their lifetime. Is that what we're waiting on, for lightning to strike the ground? Queen, think about this. When have you ever seen a lightning bolt strike the ground?
I haven't.
Right. That's 1 in a million. That means lightning, you have to see lightning 1 million times for you to see it hit the ground once.
Right.
That's more rare than a shark bite.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so our odds on this young core becoming Shaq and Penny is like 1 in a million. Yet we are saying, no, just wait, be patient.
Right. So let me ask you this though. There are some players who do pop late, develop late, become stars late.
Right.
But there's no way to know that. When you haven't seen anything, or not, I shouldn't say you haven't seen anything. You haven't seen enough to indicate that this guy is going to be a star. And I'm not just talking about RJ, Obi, IQ, Grimes, whatever. Do you, in the back of your mind, are you saying this can be one of the guys that pop late? And I guess if I'm in the front office, I can think that. But if something rolls across my desk, I got to deal in the moment. And I got to say to myself, okay, any one of these guys could pop late and become a star later on in their career. Is that the chance I'm going to take right now with this trade proposal, it doesn't have to be Donovan Mitchell, it could be anybody. With this trade proposal in front of me, I got to make a decision right now.
Right.
And see, I think as fans, we have an unlimited runway because we're not going to get fired. We have an unlimited. Listen, give so-and-so 7 years. Let's see what he becomes. Right. But as a front office, you don't have that luxury.
Right.
You a deal comes across, or you hear that somebody is available. You got to look at your roster and be like, what's the chance? What's the chance that this guy's going to be a star? You know, should I hold? Or should I, should I move them? And people always say, oh, you can move somebody too early, they could become a star. And I always say you can hold too long too.
Right. Right.
And that person doesn't develop into the player you want them to be.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Holding too long.
Or and this is the biggest anchor that we drag. Or we could have missed on a pick. We could have missed on that pick and then held him his entire contract and got nothing for him.
Right.
Like Frank. Frank was on trade block year 2.
Right.
And people was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Such and such. I ain't taking no late such and such first round pick for Frank. We picked Frank at 9 or 8 or whatever we picked Frank at. We picked Frank at 8. I'm not taking a pick for the 20s for Frank. And then the next year, I'm not taking 2 seconds for Frank. And then like towards the end, man, I ain't taking a second round pick for Frank. And Frank walked out the door and he wound up being nothing and you got nothing.
Yeah. And that's the part of it. Like we always think about, we let them go and they become a star, but we don't think equally enough about holding on to a player and having the opportunity to trade them for a first round draft pick, having the opportunity to trade them for a better player. You hold on to them and they don't become that player. Listen, that can put a franchise back as well.
Right.
You have an opportunity to get, I don't even want to use Donovan Mitchell because it's triggering. You have an opportunity to get, say, KD in his prime. You pass on it because it's going to take so much. That can set your franchise back because you could have been over here and now you still here looking for somebody, looking to get into the playoffs. So you can set your franchise back by the moves you don't make.
Right. Right. By dragging that emotional anchor. That's the thing I was getting at. By dragging that emotional anchor, you can't make the next move because you're carrying too much dead weight with you. Right? It's the same. We did it with Clee Anthony early. We did it with Frank Ntilikina. We basically
Shumpert, a lot of players
giving up too early because we try and then the guys. Well, let me say this about RJ. Yes, I would consider the RJ deal. Yes, I would consider it. Well, in the words of the people's chant, King Ant G, will I pull the trigger? Pull the trigger? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know because I'm in that place where I'm admitting to you, Knicks fans, I'm talking to y'all. I am admitting to you basically on national TV saying I have an emotional anchor that I'm dragging called RJ Barrett, right? I'm telling you this. What I'm saying is I'm not putting RJ in deals, but if one comes along where it seems like it's too good to pass up, I got to consider it.
Right.
Do I want to do it? I traded in my favorite old car for a new car that I think is my favorite. That should tell you my stance on it. Would I trade RJ for Donovan Mitchell? It depends on the package. Like if the package is smaller. Now if it's say RJ Barrett, Grimes, and 2 first-round picks, done.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That's all I'm saying is you got to have the conversation. You may not do it, but you have to be open to the conversation.
Right. Yeah. You have to. And here's the thing too. Here's the thing about waiting. Right. Here's the thing about waiting. there are plenty of fish in the proverbial sea, so to speak. Every year there's going to be a class of free agents. Every year there's going to be an NBA draft, right? Every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why are we waiting on a guy to pop when we can take those resources and go get a guy that might be ready right now? And I know it, and I know most people say, well, you can do both. No, you can't. Because you can acquire both, but a lot of times you can't play both. And you can't dedicate the development and roles and responsibilities to both. Because the one you feed is the one that grows. And if you split in half, neither's growing. That's why I'm saying I don't. The thing with RJ, man, is no, I don't want to trade RJ Barrett. Now he's my favorite player, man. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is if Brooklyn was like, yo, RJ Barrett, Randle, and 2 firsts for KD, I'm like, done. Pull the trigger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Done.
Right.
Even though y'all know I love Randle, and y'all know I love RJ, right? But if you're talking about trading for KD, even at his advanced age, yes.
Wow. That's a little harder for me because of his advanced age. And that's only because can the front office put a team around him that can take advantage of the years he have left? It's not even about KD. It's about, we're going to have to move quickly as a front office to make sure we maximize the time he has left. And are we able to do that? Can I put up a comment? You sure? Okay.
Yeah, do you think you should be able to do it? There it is.
Rich Dees, I appreciate you for rocking with us tonight. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. Have anyone considered that RJ was 21 last year, averaging 20 points? I guess that's 3 assists, 6 rebounds. And Donovan came in the NBA at 21, averaging 23 and 3. Now Donovan is 25. Why aren't we giving RJ the benefit of the doubt? You make a good point. I mean, this is just like the stock market, though. But this is what I'll say. Every 20 points ain't the same 20 points.
No, it's not the same.
It's not the same 20 points. I think when you look at the scouting, there's the counting stats, points, rebounds. You can put RJ's number up against Tatum. You can put him up against Brandon Ingram. You can put him up against pretty much anybody their first few years in the league.
Right.
But you got to take the counting stats. You also have to look at the efficiency. You have to look at their role on the team. Donovan Mitchell averaged those points as a number one, meaning that teams were keying on him. Teams were he wasn't playing off of somebody like RJ Barrett was. Like Randle had the gravity. Randle garnered the attention. Randle was the one, for the most part. It might have changed a little bit the second part of last season. That was on the bulletin board. He drew all the attention. So then now you could kick it out to RJ for RJ to do his thing. Secondary option. Donovan Mitchell had similar numbers as the primary option. He was the one on the bulletin board. He was the one being double teamed, and he still was able to do what he did. And 5 years in the league, 3 all-star teams already. So you can't just compare stats. You got to do the eye test. You got to look at the role on the team. You have to look at the efficiency. On last Tuesday on Dope Soul, I went through RJ Barrett's accuracy at the rim, short mid-range, long mid-range, 3-point shooting. He was in the bottom 20th percent of those who play his position. That means anywhere from 75 to 80% of the players at his position shot better
than him
in those, except for the 3-point line. Maybe it was just 56% better. That's significant. And I get it. He's going to bring other things other than accuracy, his leadership. He's a willing defender. He's a rebounder. He's a playmaker. He can bring the ball up. But the accuracy.
And for the most part, he stayed healthy. For the most part, he stayed healthy.
Absolutely. But the accuracy is woefully low. Woefully. Like, you talking about the 20th percentile? That's I mean, come on.
That's barely in the league. That's barely in the league.
Yeah, that's a concern. And yes, he has time to pick it up. So I can't, when I looked at, and I did this because I have a subscription to Cleaning the Glass. When I looked at Tatum, when I looked at Brandon Ingram, and I looked at even Jimmy Butler, all of those guys' efficiency was much better at that point in their career. Efficiency matters because RJ's may not get 20-something shots next year.
No, he won't.
So if you're not efficient, he might be averaging 12 points. You know what I mean? If you're not getting the same number of shots and you're shooting inefficient, how many points are you going to score to help the team?
Right.
It's important. It's important.
It's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important. And so I have Paris Douglas says, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Douglas says, doubting Thomas panel, you need to rob the Knicks with you. But the thing is we're not doubting, it's evaluation. And there's a distinction between somebody giving an opinion and somebody evaluating. When you use numbers in an evaluation, these numbers are accurate. And Queen quoted the source where she got the numbers, where if you doubt what she is saying, you can go to that source that she used to look at those same numbers.
Right.
So
I even made a slide. I ain't gonna pull them up, but I have slides on it, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. It's Queen. So what I'm saying is in the evaluation. What I'm saying is in this evaluation, ultimately, I'm not saying give up on RJ Barrett.
Me either.
I don't think none of us are.
No.
But those numbers are concerning.
Correct.
Now, do you want to still be concerned in 2 years?
I think he can turn it around. But if 2 years from now it's still the same,
we are going to be like, we should have traded him for Donovan Mitchell 2 years ago. That would be the conversation. 2 years from now, we'll be like, man, we should have traded him for Spider 2 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so for those that don't get what I'm saying is I'm not bashing RJ. RJ legit is my heartstring. You want to make Uncle Freezy mad about something, talk bad about RJ. But at the same time, I'm not saying that RJ Barrett is the next Scottie Pippen or the next Chris Middleton. I'm not even saying RJ Barrett is the next Jimmy Butler. Right? But if Danny Ainge said, hey man, Donovan Mitchell, Grimes, and 2 unprotecteds, pull the trigger. Parazaga, thank you for the generous contribution. He says, but it's always what you don't do. It's y'all rep. Nah, man. Come on, Parazaga. Come on.
See, Mac, I have those numbers on Julius Randle as well. We'll be doing that show on Dope Soul Sports Talk next Tuesday at 9 p.m. And I will tell you the narrative that Julius is just as inefficient as RJ is a false narrative. He had one inefficient season, but over his career, it's not even close.
It's not even like what are we even talking about, man? And then plus, man, I just did the Emmanuel Quickly breakdown last Friday, and I honestly believe that Quickly might be the better player in the long run than RJ Barrett.
You're not the only one who said that. I've heard that a few times.
But I can't say that because, you know, when you say I think Quickly will be better than RJ, people automatically assume that I'm throwing RJ Barrett away. And they shouldn't. If you love RJ, if you love RJ Barrett, right? If you love RJ, right? Or say for instance, if you love Obi, anytime somebody critiques RJ Barrett or Obi Toppin, doesn't mean they're putting their heads on the chopping block. It's a critique.
Correct.
That's all it is. You're not putting nobody on the chopping block. Or the trade block for that matter.
And if you got RJ on that team, to me, I think RJ playing with Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, if this trade comes through, is perfect. Because that's the role I see RJ in, an all-around player playing off of people.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
That's where you would see him shine.
Right. I'm with you. I'm with you. Ultimately, and I'm gonna say this is gonna make you laugh, and I'm sorry, man. I'm not, because I said it to myself and I made myself laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So ultimately, I think RJ Barrett should go down that road of being Brandon Roy. Right. The best of the best of the best second or third option definitely fits as a complementary player. Now, what people don't remember about Brandon Roy is sure he scored. He scored. But Brandon Roy did so many other Swiss Army knife things that you kind of forget how good this kid. Brandon Roy.
RJ Barrett can be Brandon Roy. Are you kidding? In his prime?
And I'm talking about going down that. I'm talking about going down that road of being a high level rebounder at 6'6", 6'7", being a high level rebounder, being a decent defender, willing defender, right?
Yep.
Being somewhat of a being a great secondary, tertiary playmaker, right? The difference with RJ and Roy is the obvious one. One can stay healthy, and one can't.
Right.
Right.
Is that your ceiling for RJ, Brandon Roy?
I don't know. But Queen, he's my heartstring. So he's my heart. He's that heavy anchor.
I would take that any day of the week.
So he's my heartstring. So let me say this, and just for those watching out there, you never have reasonable expectations for your heartstring because it's your heartstring. It's like as soon as your baby be born, you're like, yep, that's the president in the United States right there. You know what I'm saying? We don't have reasonable expectations for our heartstrings. You know what I'm saying? So for RJ, I don't have a reasonable expectation. I'm thinking RJ Barrett is gonna get his number retired. He's gonna lead the Knicks to 5 NBA titles, and he's gonna be a multiple-time All-Star, maybe 6 or 7 All-Star games, right? Maybe 3 or 4 times all NBA, right? That is my reasonable expectation for my heartstring. Now, if you're asking me what RJ is as a player, if you're just asking me to analyze, I don't want to do that because then I have to look at this masterpiece as my heartstring. Now I got to flip the painting over and look at the other sides of it, and I don't want to do that. And a lot of Knicks fans are in that same thing. Like they don't want to flip the painting over and see what's on the back. Like what's on the back of the Mona Lisa, right? It's like it ain't that scratches and all that stuff from travel, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's the reason why we hold Pat Ewing, Carmelo, RJ, Obi, all these guys in such high esteem, because we don't want to look at. All we want to look at what is basically what's on the surface with RJ, right? Same thing we do with Pat, right? Same thing. Because if Pat Ewing would have been in elite shape, the Knicks would have won some championships. A dude told me that one time, right? If all Pat had to do was get in elite shape, look at David Robinson, look at Olajuwon. Then look at Pat. Then I'm like, yeah, but Pat was hurt, and then you're like, yeah, y'all always have 1,000 excuses for Pat Ewing. And I'm like, no, I don't. But Pat didn't have no help. Again, 1,000 excuses for Pat, right? And so the thing with RJ is we make 1,000 excuses for RJ. We just want to look at the surface stuff. And I am in that group. And I'll admit that. And I would hope people would respect that. Respect the fact that I am a unreasonable RJ Barrett homer. Right?
I don't think you're that unreasonable, Uncle Free. Because I get it that that's your guy. But if somebody came with a legitimate argument, you would listen. Some fans, they're not even trying to hear the stats.
Right.
That's right there in their face. So,
right.
I don't know.
Hey, Parasucker, thank you for the generous contribution. Parasucker says, RJ and Randle are inefficient thinkers. Trade both. Man, come on, man. Don't take shots at me, Parasucker. I love Randle, man. I love, and the reason why I love Randle is the same reason why people hate Randle. Randle was a dude struggling to find himself in his game. He played for multiple teams before he got to New York. He took on the challenge of coming to New York, and he bettered himself while he was here. A person in that same situation is a dude named Henry Ellenson. A dude that was drafted in the lottery, power forward, played the same position, came to New York and stunk like a dog. Michael Beasley, in the same situation. A lottery pick, played for multiple teams, played power forward, small forward, whatever you want to say, forward for us, came here and didn't have an impact. Derek Williams came here, same situation, blah, 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 didn't want Noah Vonleh, same thing. Blah, 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 same lottery guy, blah, 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 came here, blah, 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 didn't do nothing. But Randle comes here, same position, power forward, comes here and is 20 and 10 out the gate, and we mad because he turned the ball over a lot. And then the second year, he apologized and made the All-Star team. And not only do we embrace him for that, he apologized to the city. Yeah, I played terribly. I apologize. I promise you, y'all gonna get my best every night. And so he made the All-Star team. People are like, yeah, that's a bubble All-Star team. That's the bubble All-Star. That don't mean nothing. And then we hated on Randle ever since. But all those guys that came in here before Randle, y'all ain't unseal y'all lips. Y'all ain't even separate y'all teeth to say nothing when Henry Ellenson was in the same position. Noah Vonleh. You know what I'm saying? Derek Williams, Quincy AC, all these dudes. Randle came here and succeeded, and all we do is bash Randle. My bad, Queen. That was my Randle soapbox. I'm sorry. Yeah, you muted. Hold on. There it is.
Oh, I was saying, I was like, no, that's totally totally cool. I mean, I've had this Randle conversation, 65,000 times. I
that's all you sucker.
Yeah. I agree. I don't believe Randle is a number one.
Right.
But he doesn't have to be. I believe that last season he was a hot mess, in my opinion. Right. I just feel like, he imploded during some times when we really needed him. And I agree with a lot of what the fan base have to say about Randle. I think where we differ is I'm willing to see him next season with a point guard, and I'm willing to see him next season, and I want to see he's been able to learn from his behavior or emotionality, as I like to say. So I'm not disagreeing about that, but what I'm saying is I still want to see him on this team next season with a point guard, and I believe he'll be better. And I think the only pushback I have is the narrative that career-wise he's been an inefficient player.
Right, because there's no substantial proof. There's nothing that a fan can point to. There's no data to support Randle being inefficient his entire career. And you know what? And you know what else I heard, Queen? I got argued down. I just backed up and let people win. They told me that Julius Randle's best season was the year he had in New Orleans. No. How? Randle didn't get a single MVP vote in New Orleans. He did not make an all-star team in New Orleans. Right? Julius Randle was not all NBA in New Orleans.
Right.
Right. And so these things that we say, sometimes I think we say things out of this hatred for Randle. I'm just telling Knicks fans to suck it up. Randle, your best player, go with it. Ain't nothing you can do about it. They ain't trading him. And he gonna play. Now what?
Right.
Now what? I heard a dude. I think it was Raw. Hebrew Rim that was talking about Julius Randle to the Lakers, and I was like, Randle to the Lakers? Why? What are we doing? Has Obi Toppin impressed anybody enough to trade Randle?
Well, a lot of Knicks fans will say that he has. To me, if you're going to move off from Randle, it's not because Obi pushed him out. It's because Randle himself pushed himself out of New York, right? Not because Obi pushed him out. But a lot of fans will say that Obi has
I,
pushed
I,
them out of New York.
I don't see that. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't. Man, Obi balled out for the last few minutes. For the last few games of the season. I think that was because of the Quickly and Obi Toppin combination. But I don't think Obi was a threat to Julius Randle early on in the season. Hey, so Paris Douglas says, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Douglas says both guys are very good, but not with affecting wins. Okay. You talking about RJ? You talking about RJ and Randall? I think. Okay. What I would say to the Obi thing, the Obi thing is very touchy.
That's another one you can't really have an honest conversation about.
Okay. So why not?
Because of and I love this new term, emotional anchor.
There's a lot of that going around. So what I would say is maybe we should consider the genesis. Okay. Maybe we should consider the root of the emotional anger. And then once we figure out what the root of that is, then we should speak to why it's being used and when we talk about certain topics. Right? Why are we angry that when somebody says Obi's name, that we don't talk about Obi as if he is the darling of New York?
Yeah.
You know,
he's it's the same thing with RJ, but with Obi, he's a New York guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was he was a top 10 pick. He brings a lot of excitement to the Garden,
Right.
and we need that. And he's elite at what he does, because think about it. And this is why I have issues with people who say he can't show what he can really do in a half court game. We're like last in pace or in the bottom in pace, but Obi is still able to come in and change that. Think about it. You got a half court team. The Knicks are a slow half court team. But Obi, because of he's elite at what he does, he's able to come into the game and change that, him and IQ, and get the team running, stretching, and stretch the floor. So I don't want to hear that you can, and the reason he's able to do that, because he's very good at it. And so it doesn't matter the pace, it doesn't matter. I'm going to run out, I'm going to create those opportunities.
Right.
So you're not going to tell me that, but in a half court game, he can't do that. In the half court game, he's being held down. In the half court game, he has more. He's not given the opportunity. But we don't even play full court, and he's able to create that opportunity for himself.
I think Obi Toppin is Jeremy Shockey. I think that's what I think he is. I think Obi Toppin is a fast tight end that if you throw the ball deep down the field, he can outrun somebody and score. But in the run game, he ain't nothing. Across the middle, in traffic, he ain't nothing. I think Obi Toppin is Jeremy Shockey, right? And for those Giants fans out there, and people that don't know football, I'll say I'll use another tight end great for y'all. Mark Bavaro is Willis Reed, the dude that could do all that stuff. Willis Reed could do all that stuff. He could play in traffic. He can run. He can pass. He can jump. He can stay healthy. He can do all those things. Obi Toppin is the big tight end that doesn't impact you. Obi Toppin is Evan Ingram. Now, I know people don't know who Evan Ingram is. Evan Ingram is a tight end that plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Evan Ingram is a tight end with all these skills that you dream of. Size, speed, agility, all these things, right? That's Obi Toppin right now, right? Evan Ingram at tight end can take the top off a defense. Obi Toppin at power forward can take the top off a defense, right? Right. But when hold on for just a second, y'all.
Yeah, I think until Freezy comes back, the only other thing I wanted to add was I'm not saying that Obi can't be more in the future. I'm not saying that who Obi is now is who he's going to be for all time. I'm just saying that this is where he is now, and I'm looking forward to see, if he's more consistent from the 3-point line, because that's definitely going to open up his game. And now he could play half court. Right now he's effective full court, but half court, maybe at the end of the season, you were able to see that he was able to be effective in the half court. But I'm hoping this season coming back, if he adds that to his game for a larger sample size, now he could play in the half court. Now he could play with anybody. You don't have to just match him up with IQ to get the best out of him. He could play with anybody. Right. He's hitting a three. He's commanding attention. That's going to create space for the rest of the players. And if they run him off the 3-point line, if he has it in his game, he'll have that opportunity now to put the ball on the floor. So I'm very interested to see how he's added to his game.
Has he shown any of that yet, though?
He has, but this is like I thought toward the end of the season, he was hitting his 3-point shots. Right? At one point, he was 11%, then he was 18%. So I think his 3-point shooting improved, but some of that I believe is confidence too, because his rookie year, he shot in the 30s. Now you're starting the season at 11% and then 18%. So I think with Obi, a lot of his performance has to do with confidence or lack thereof, right?
Confidence is key, right? Confidence is key.
Right. So he became more confident. He was able to shoot. But this is the thing, Freezy. People think because you did it 2 and 3 times that it's a skill. No.
Right.
You have to be able to do it over and over and over again at an efficient clip. When you're able to do that, then you could say, okay, he's a 3-point shooter now. But just because somebody flashed a mid-range shot or somebody flashed a 3-point shot, you can't say, oh, he's a 3-point shooter now. Nah, you got to be able to do it at what, 34, 35% at least.
Right.
To be able to say this guy is a 3-point shooter. And you can't just do that in 5 games.
Right. Right. No, I get that. My thing with Obi is his lack of physicality. Yeah, and right. I think the rebounding comes from
the physicality.
So I come from a different era, and I know y'all will be like, oh, there you go. He about to talk about the old school. but back in the day when you were big, you had to do big people stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, if you were a big man, 6'9", back in the day, you had to get your rump on the glass. Obi, I don't care how fast you are.
Right.
Right? Obi, come on, man. Obi, you got to get it. Now, he did increase his rebounding as he got more minutes and things of that sort. And I understand we play in a different era. And I understand that rebounds are not fought for under the basket as much as they were now because three-pointers create long rebounders. I get that. But if one more person tell me that Obi Toppin streaking out is a benefit, you telling me you taking your guard, you sending your guard in the paint to get a rebound because you want your big to be out streaking? I just can't. I just can't. Why am I sending Kemba Walker in there to rebound so he can get the rebound and to outlet it to Obi Toppin on a fast break opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Chat, y'all understand what I'm saying, man? If Obi did that and rebounded, I'm like, okay, I'm with you. But you sending RJ in there to get the rebounds? You sending quickly in there?
I mean, I don't think people understand that if he's getting out on the fast break and he's the first one down the court,
right,
he probably left early and he wasn't
yes,
in there to rebound. He left
right,
early so that he can get that advantage.
right. I see. Man, see, I played basketball in the 70s and 80s, right? 70s and 80s. This was my time. That was a weird era. This is where your coach can walk up to you during the game smoking a cigarette and snatch your jersey. This is a different era of basketball. So I understand. I think differently, right? I mean, Mr. Marcellus had a cigarette in one hand and dragged me from the score table and threw me on the bench. And this is when the bench was a bench and not chairs. Now the bench is a whole bunch of these nice chairs. These cats come down and they got the little cup holder for they Gatorade, all that to see. Nah, when I played the bench, when they said splinters in your behind, they meant that because it was a bench, right? But anyway, so that's why when we had a conversation about Obi, I'm always thinking like, we keep saying that Obi is great at getting out in the open court and outrunning somebody else so that he can dunk. But I'm thinking, well, who's going to get him the ball? My point guard got to go in there in the trees and battle for a rebound. What if he don't get it? Because you create a disadvantage. If my power forward is already cross half court and my point guard is trying to box out a power forward, what if the power forward just get the offensive rebound and go back up with it? Y'all like that mismatch? I don't like that mismatch. I don't like that mismatch. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to sound like what's the coach from Indiana? The crazy dude from Indiana.
Back in the day or now?
Yeah, back in the day. The white guy. Bobby Knight. I hate to sound like Bobby.
College. I'm thinking of the Pacers.
Yeah, I hate to sound like Bobby Knight, but some fundamental basket, you still have to play. I understand we are in an athletic skills era, but you still have to employ some fundamentals of the game. You have to box out, right? We lost the Phoenix game because Alec Burks didn't box out. He let a guard come in from. The thing made me so mad. I'm still mad to this day.
I see.
You let you are at the free throw line shooting free throws. All you need to do is hit one. So if they, all you gotta do is hit both, so that if they hit a buzzer beater, the game will be tied. Right? This dude is gonna get one and let a guard come from outside of the restricted area. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You have to have two players back. He had let a guy come from behind him, grab the rebound, right? He see Cam Johnson, right? He's like, hey, there go Cam Johnson. Bro, come on, man. You're gonna let the hottest player in the game run free in transition, knowing they need a buzzer beater, and you're gonna point to him instead of going to him. Oh my God, man! Oh my God!
Yeah.
Queen, I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated with this team. I don't even know. Just now, I just got on. I don't even know where I went just now. I'll just out here in the field by myself chasing butterflies. I don't even know. This team frustrates me so much. It's these conversations that we have. Like, you're like, but Obi can dunk in the open court, bro. They killing me. Every 6'6" dude in the NBA can dunk in the open court. What are we talking about?
Right.
They're like, yo, but Obi, get out in the open court and dunk, man. We need that energy. No, you know what's good for energy? Being up by 11 with 42 seconds left to go in the game. That's where you get energy from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Queen, you ever play ball?
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, you did play ball.
Yeah.
Queen, what's more disheartening than playing against a team and you know you can't beat them? As soon as you saw them in the schedule, you're like, yeah, we won't stand a chance tonight.
Right.
But I'm gonna go out here and play my hardest.
Right.
And you play your hardest, and you look up at the thing, and you look up and you down 17 with 6 minutes left to go in the game.
Yeah.
And you know you gave it your hardest from the rip.
Right.
So you know ain't no coming back because you done gave it your best.
Right.
These are the type things that I'm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just frustrates me. I'm sorry. Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says Obi is valuable because he complements his playmakers. I agree. I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, but I mean the complimenting is, and we've said this before. He doesn't hold the ball, but you watch anybody, any team in this league, any number one player on their particular team. When the ball comes to them, it's going to stop unless there's a clear, somebody clearly open, one pass away, they'll usually make that pass. But the ball is going to stop in your best player's hand. And if you don't have a developed game, of course you're going to move it along. What else are you going to do with it?
Right. Yeah, it just stuff like it just frustrates me. Stuff like that just. But hey, you got any other tough questions you got for me? I'm up for the challenge.
Well, we talked about RJ. That was a tough question. We've tackled some tough topics though. We've talked about Randle. We talked about Obi. What would, if you can go back to right before the draft, because I think before the draft is where the Knicks, I knew what direction the Knicks was going in by how they handled the draft. So I said, you know what, after this draft, I'm going to have a clear inclination of which way the Knicks are going. Right. Developmental, we're going to build a team to try to become a perennial playoff team, at least initially.
Okay.
Were you okay with that? Or what would you have liked? What direction would, well, first, can we agree that the Knicks are not trying to develop these guys for development's sake? Do you agree that they're trying to develop them until they can find a star, whether it's Donald Mitchell or someone else, and flip them?
Yes.
Okay. Are you okay with that plan? Or would you have liked the Knicks prior to the draft to, what was his name, Dang? And they pulled a trade for Doran. Trade both of those guys, maybe not sign Mitch, and like really lean in to the youth movement.
So first, when I asked you for a hard question, I didn't know you were just gonna go. And maybe, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to text you first. Like, hard doesn't really mean hard. Hard doesn't really mean hard, man. Hard. But so okay, so yeah, that is a very hard and tough question that in my opinion needs a very delicate and separation of answers, right? And so the reason being is because the point that the fact that you point out developing the kids so that you can trade them is a tough pill for Knicks fans to swallow, right? Because they don't want to look at this team as a farmer's market, right? They don't want to look at us. They don't want to look at they don't want to be the Utah Jazz. The Knicks want to be the Golden State Warriors. And when you tell Knicks fans you're not going to be the Warriors, you're going to be the Utah Jazz, they get upset. The Utah Jazz will groom a star and trade them off for assets. They don't want to be that. Or groom players and trade them off for stuff. The Knicks don't want to be that. The Knicks don't want to be They don't want to be, say, the Indiana Pacers. They don't want to be the Sacramento Kings. The Knicks want to be the Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, LA Lakers, Boston Celtics. And you know what? I think they deserve that right to think that that's what they should be. Right? I'm not begrudging them on that. I want them. I think Knicks fans deserve the right to think they should get all the trappings and rewards of a LA Lakers and a Boston Celtics. Right? But when you bring us in and sober us, like, they're not developing RJ to be a megastar. They're developing RJ so that he can be a piece in a bigger trade. Now you're like, oh God, dog it. So we're not the Celtics. We're not the Lakers. We're the Sacramento Kings, Utah Jazz, kind of. It's tough. It's tough when you put it in that respect. And yes, I agree with you. I just hadn't thought about it like that.
I don't know if that's the case with RJ though, but for the rest of them, I don't. And they showed their hand, because a lot of people's like, they're gonna develop. We're developing the youth. We're developing. I said, okay, we're gonna see.
We'll see.
We're gonna see when the draft comes.
Right.
And shout out to Edwin and P. They didn't draft this year, so they had cap space to sign Brunson. Yeah, but if you're going with a youth movement, you don't even need to do that. Yeah. You're going with a youth movement, you give it to Quickly. Yeah. And you draft at 11, that same trade you pulled off for Doran for Detroit so that you can get off the Kemba trade, you keep Doran and you don't sign Mitch. If you're going young, you lean into it.
Right. And you don't, and you know who else you don't sign? Hartenstein.
Right.
Hartenstein is a forgotten man. Because
Right.
Hartenstein's contract ultimately is the same as those 2 first-round picks.
Right.
$8 million.
Right. And you let Sim back up Doran.
Yep.
So that once the Knicks didn't go in that direction, that told me right there, they're not. Now, they're still committed to being a young team. Don't get me wrong. They're still committed to being a young team. Right? Donovan Mitchell is 25. They're not going out and getting the over the hill, guy at the end of their career.
He'll be 26 September 7th. He'll be 26 in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
26 and 20. So he's still young, super young.
Yeah. So they're committed to having a young team, but they're not committed, in my opinion, to developing these particular young guys, because any opportunity they can get to move off of them for a star, trust me, the Knicks will take it.
The Knicks will take it. And here's my thing, though.
Was their plan all along, to be honest.
Yeah. So here's my thing about the first part of the question. I dodged for like 2 minutes. I dodged that question for like 120 seconds, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe she asked me that stuff. So anyway, but I think the Knicks front office don't know where they're going. I don't even think it's a thing about young veterans. I don't even think it's a thing about young core. I think it's the NBA landscape is morphing so fast that all these guys in their new positions, they don't know what to do, because even though this front office, Leon Rose is in a new position, Worldwide West is in a new position. Brock Aller, the capologist, he was a capologist in Cleveland. Now he's a major voice in New York. Walt Perrin, the scout, he's a front office guy with the Knicks, right? Scott Perry, even though he's been a GM and a front office guy for a long time, I don't think Scott Perry's voice has the same gravity as it did when Steve Mills was here. And I'm sure it does in maybe contract negotiations. But when it comes to team building, I think ultimately you got to use scouts, capologists, and a visionary like Leon Rose. It has to be a visionary, but I don't think Leon Rose has a vision.
I think they do. Listen, I think when they came in, they sold Dolan on the fact that through their connections, through backdoor channels, we're going to get an idea of who's going to be available. And when they become available, we're going to be able to land those guys because of our connections. That's why you hire Tibbs at 64. You're not hiring Tibbs if you're selling Dolan on a vision of young guys.
Right.
And I think whoever they targeted fell through. A few of them fell through, right? But I think that was their vision all along. You know, we're going to draft well. We're going to stay flexible with the cap. And when a star becomes available to free agency or they become disgruntled, we're going to have the assets to make a move. I believe that was their plan all along.
Louisiana Knicks, thank you for the generous contribution. Louisiana Knicks says, we collected all those picks and we have the talent to get this trade done. And if we don't get this done, I think we will regret it for years to come. Emotionally, I think we regret it. In terms of a resource position, I don't think you regret it, because if the deal don't go through, you still got your resources. So it depends on how you view the timeliness or the expiration date of these resources.
Correct.
Right?
They can diminish. You can have diminishing resources, and so now they're not as
appealing
in the next trade.
Right.
Sometimes you got to strike while it's hot.
You're right. Right. So, sometimes you have to do that. And what I would say, because when you said vision, I drifted off again. I'm sorry, I was thinking Vision of Love, Mariah Carey. Anybody in here remember Mariah Carey? I know y'all don't. Whatever.
Wow.
Whatever. So, but like when you were like the vision for a player, I'm thinking that player was Damian Lillard. That's what I was thinking, because that was a rumor from the original. That was our original heartstring with his front office, and then it morphed into a Bradley Beal,
right? And
then some Zach LaVine, Devin Booker, but that wasn't realistic.
Right.
And then Donovan Mitchell all of a sudden.
Right.
Right. So it's like, if they can't go get Dame, if they can't get Beal, who World Wide West tampered with openly, if you can't get Bradley Beal, then if you can't get Spider, then are you the Oklahoma City Thunder? Right? Are you because every year, since this front office has been in office, this front office in office, no pun intended. Every year that this front office has been in office, they've pulled off a deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder every season, 3 straight years, right? The Obi year, they traded for the rights to Emmanuel Quickley. Y'all remember that? They traded for the rights to Emmanuel Quickley. Right, and then the other year, they traded. I forget. I have this stuff on top of my mind. I be thinking about so many different things. Last year they traded the number 32 pick for the 34 and 36 pick, in which they traded Jeremiah Robinson. The Knicks drafted Jeremiah Robinson Earl and traded him to OKC for the 34 and 36 pick, and we drafted Rokas Jokic and Miles McBride. And then this year, we traded with OKC, giving them Ousmane Dieng. So it's 3 consecutive years, like-minded GMs. And Detroit also, because Troy Weaver, Leon Rose, and I keep wanting to say Scott Pioli, Sam Presti. Sam Presti are all like-minded GMs. They love draft picks. Right? So what I guess ultimately what I'm getting at is I don't know if Leon Rose is a big game hunter. He might be a grocery shopper, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to put the ingredients together and make something out of it. You can't just keep collecting assets. You got to do something with it.
You can't be a hoarder, Leon Rose. You can't be a hoarder. And that's what Sam Presti is. Look at all the draft picks he got. Look at the guy in New Orleans. Look at Detroit trying to put all these draft picks. Yeah, and Paris Lucker, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Lucker says, how come they didn't do it yet? They like the kids.
No, that's not why they didn't do it. They didn't do it because maybe they asking for too much.
Right.
You think they didn't do it because if they wanted to keep these guys, it would have been a non-starter.
Right.
We wouldn't even be in talks. We wouldn't even be negotiating.
This thing wouldn't even be in the press.
Right. We wouldn't even be negotiating. It hasn't happened yet because the compensation has to be fair, I guess. They're looking for something that works for them. If they like the kids, they would have just said no. Like I'm sure OKC said, or I'm sure Detroit said, no. We're gonna sit on our kids. Don't even come this way. We you know.
Right. It's like Sacramento. Sacramento locked in on their guy, right? And it's like, no, I don't care what you offer us. We're not trading.
We're not trading.
We got the team that we like, and there's a guy in the draft that we like, and no matter what you offer, we're not taking it.
Not doing it.
Right? And people were like, I can't believe they're gonna get Jaden Ivey. They didn't want Jaden Ivey. They took the guy that they liked. They got Keegan Murray, and Keegan Murray looks like he is gonna be a baller. The Knicks, on the other hand, we trade back in the draft and got Quentin Grimes.
And that's the issue. I think we would be further along if we had hit on some of these picks.
Oh my good Queen! Did you just say? Okay, wait a minute. All right,
we would be further along. I mean, listen. Golden State hit on Curry. Curry wasn't the third pick in the draft.
Right.
They hit on Klay. I don't even think Klay was top 10.
Yeah, he was 11.
Yeah, so you can move your franchise when you hit on these picks. We haven't been hitting.
No, we have not.
And we're in the top 10 every year. We haven't been hitting. That's why. And that's why when people say, let's just build through the draft, I'm like, well, what the hell? That's what we've been doing. We just haven't been hitting.
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh, Queen
just haven't been doing. That's what we've been doing. We've been trying to build through the draft.
So I thought Quentin Grimes was a hit.
They are hit. No. When I say hit, I mean a number 1 or a number 2 on you. That's a hit.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I think the Knicks are drafting better as of late. I think they're at least drafting rotation players. I think they're at least drafting players who can give you significant minutes in a game.
Oh, no.
Right?
No,
we didn't have that before.
I didn't want to go. Okay.
So we're drafting better. You can get minutes out of Grimes. You can get minutes out of Obi. You can get minutes out of IQ. So that we're doing better. But we're not hitting the players that we need to hit to build through the draft, and we're taking multiple swings. This is not like a 3-year history.
Right.
We're going back to, besides this last playoff run 2 years ago, I think it was 2013. So since 2013, we've been taking multiple hits in the draft.
Oh, let me say something real quick, just real quickly. So first of all, Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says confirmed today, Grimes is the holdup. Okay, so they value Grimes. I'm hoping Grimes turns out to be, because if Grimes
I'm a Grimes fan, but he not that. He not.
If Grimes is a 6-point per game defender, y'all about to hear the Frank Ntilikina comparisons for the rest of y'all life, right? But let me just say this though, just this real quick. So the Queen is 7 subscribers away from 700, and that's a landmark achievement for YouTubers like myself, like hitting subscription milestones and things of that sort. So what I'm going to do is ask you guys that are here to subscribe to the channel, help support this young lady, help her build her channel, right? Because she doing the same thing that we doing here. You know what I'm saying? We having these Knicks conversations, what seems like 24/7. Right. So y'all support this young lady, man. Help her grow her channel. You know what I mean? She's 7 subscribers away. We would love for that number to be way over 700, but we'll take what we can get. Man, y'all go over and smash the like button on them videos, man, and subscribe to the channel. We want to make sure we get out of this weekend with 700 plus subscribers.
I appreciate
that'll be dope for everybody. That'll be dope for everybody, y'all.
Yeah, and the link is pinned in the chat.
And what that does is it makes Knicks fans look good. That we have content and stuff out here that we can go to and rock, that's unbiased and unfiltered. My bad, Queen. My bad, Queen, for stomping on that.
No,
point.
I was
wanted to
just
make
gonna
sure.
let them know that you pinned it in the chat.
Okay.
The link to subscribe to the channel is pinned in the top of the chat.
Okay. Yeah, man. Y'all click on that link and subscribe to the channel and support Knicks content by Knicks fans. So, but yeah, let me get back to this point that you made, because man, I don't know if I'm rusty or if I'm soft. Is this how y'all talk at NBK when I'm not there? Like just hard hitting stuff, like just straight to the jugular. Like was there like a time frame? Y'all feel like we only gonna be here for an hour, so we gonna get it all in? Is that what it? Man, I mean, role players. Man.
Well, but even high end, thank you, Shotgun. I appreciate it. But even high end role, look, there was time Ntilikina wasn't in the rotation. Knox wasn't in the rotation. Clay Anthony early, I don't remember him. Some of these guys we drafted weren't even in the rotation.
Right.
At least we're drafting guys that are in the rotation, right? But I don't see superstar. And yes, you could pop late, maybe year 4, year 5, year 6, one of them will pop like Jimmy Butler. That doesn't happen often, but it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah,
all I'm saying is
lightning to strike the ground. Yeah.
Right. All I'm saying is the Knicks gave the draft a fair shot, almost a 10-year shot at the draft in the top 10. I think it's okay now to just say, you know what? I had enough of the draft. I think we're gonna have to trade for one. Yeah. I think it's okay. You gave it a good shot.
Right. Right. I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't want to give up on. I don't want to say that Grimes is a role player.
Well, what you think? You think he's a star? I mean, listen, he could be. Listen. All I'm saying is you're not making this decision in a vacuum.
Right.
If you have
and it's not time sensitive either.
Right. So, if you want to wait and see what Grimes can become, do that. If you want to wait and see what IQ can do, wait. All I'm saying though is when that player comes across your desk, like a Donovan Mitchell or whoever, are you still gonna wait? Now you got to start weighing things now. What's the chances? I got this right in front of me. 5 years, three-time All-Star. We hoping one of these guys become who this guy already is. You know what I mean? So yeah, you could say you want to wait until something comes in front of you. Now you got to make a decision.
Right.
And your job is on the line.
Right.
For the fans, our job is not on the line. For the front office, it is.
Right.
And you can lose it either way.
I feel you. Man, you don't pull no punches. You be going at these Knicks fans.
No, I think I'm being thoughtful and reasonable. I don't think I'm saying go give. I'm just saying you gotta. It's not happening in a vacuum.
Right.
Sure, I like Grimes. Grimes is one of my favorite players on the team. Right. And the reason I like him because you know what you're going to get every single night.
Right.
If he develops a handle and he could put the ball on the floor, you're going to get more. But if he does nothing else, you're going to get a 3-point shooter who could defend. One of my favorite players on the team.
Yeah.
Mitchell comes. Now I got to ask myself, so you're going to hold on to Grimes and hope he becomes a star, and you're going to let this guy who already is, arguably, some will argue that he's not, pass by? Nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I'm trying to, okay, so I like Grimes, but I don't see him as that queen. I'm gonna say something controversial.
Okay.
And
I'm good with that.
And so here's the thing. I think Grimes is frank.
No, I think he's better than Ntilikina.
Ntilikina.
Wow.
Quentin Grimes is Frank Ntilikina.
Wow.
Because think about all the things we say about Frank are the things that we're saying about Grimes.
But you don't think Grimes is a better shooter and a more willing shooter than Frank? No?
I think they're the same. I think they're the same. Quentin Grimes is Frank Ntilikina. Right?
Wow.
And so here's the thing. Can Grimes at 6'4", can Grimes play, make, and facilitate? No. Right? At his height, so far this year, has Quentin Grimes stayed healthy?
No. But it was 1 year.
Right. I know the Frank Hive is coming out. The Frank Hive is going to defend Frank to the end. Right? Right? And so Quentin Grimes is a shooter that's very inefficient. Because when you look at Grimes' shooting numbers, he is a shooter that doesn't hit targets. And so you know what they call that, right? A non-shooter.
But would you
Quentin Grimes shot 67% from the free throw line.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
Right. And the thing is, and here's the other thing too. For a guy 6'4", for a man 6'4", Grimes has trouble guarding small guards. Right? Now, can he guard up? Can he guard 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7"? Sure. But the jitterbugs, not so much.
But a lot of players have problems with the jitterbugs, though.
But I understood. And listen, I'm not trying, and I'm not trying to knock Grimes, right? But if we are honestly saying what he does versus what he will be, this is the same conversation we had about Frank. We set Twitter ablaze with this 6'4" guard, long wingspan, can't handle, not a playmaker, upside as a shooter. Did you see what he did versus such and such player this one time? And blah, 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 blah. And when you go back after the season and look at his numbers, Quentin Grimes is a 6 point per game defender. When you look at Frank Ntilikina was a 5 point per game defender.
Right. Smaller sample size, but this is what I will say. If we look at Grimes' numbers prior to the injury, I think he was much better. I think he probably should not have come back. But I will say, in Summer League, he was very inefficient. But he won't be getting all of them shots on the Knicks. That's why I think he'll be more efficient. He's not that guy. He's not a number one where he's just going to go up and put out, like, shoot 10, 11 shots a game. Nah, he's not that. He showed that in Summer League.
Queen, you know what I heard when you said that? Mm-hmm. You know what I heard when you said that, right? Quentin Grimes against talent that he is better than, he was very inefficient. That's what I heard when you said Summer League.
That's his role, to be just pulling up. The ball he barely caught it, and he was pulling up.
He was pulling up. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I really want to back up off this Quentin Grimes is Frank Ntilikina thing. But the numbers data says that Grimes right now is Frank Ntilikina. And until the data says something else, I gotta go by.
You gotta go with the eye test too. I mean, I get it that he hasn't scored a lot, but this is what Grimes could do that Frank couldn't do. He knew how to get to his spot when a guy was bringing the ball up. He knew how to relocate and get to the spot so he could be seen. And as soon as they gave him the ball, he pulled up for the three. Frank was meandering out there.
Right.
Like he didn't really, not that he didn't know what he was doing. His pace was slow. I mean, I think
everything.
Yeah.
You're like, this dude is like, Like Frank ain't even a power forward. You like what position does Frank play? Like Frank ain't even like a backup center. You're not a backup center. Go out there and be looking for somebody to screen. And Frank don't even do that, right? But the thing is with Grimes is I'll take a tidbit of what you said about the draft picks, and so I'll take about 10% of what you said about how we draft, and 90% about from data. If you go by what you said about the Knicks not drafting stars and drafting role players, then automatically Grimes goes into that conversation of role players, right?
No doubt about it. I wouldn't hold up a trade. Don't get me wrong now. I'm not holding up a trade for Grimes. I'm not for Donovan Mitchell with Grimes. No, I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not doing it.
Right. And what I'm saying is I don't want to bash Grimes. But Queen, how many times do we have to be in this situation to finally understand that we're in a situation? Like for instance, how many times do we have to draft a 6'4", 6'5" guard that's good on defense and has upside as a shooter, and they don't pan out to be nothing? How many times do we gotta do that?
Right. And that's what and that's why I feel this is a critical juncture, because not you say what you want to say about Donovan Mitchell, and I can't say I disagree with everything, all the negatives fans say about Donovan Mitchell. Some of them are fair. Yeah. Some of them are fair. How often is a 25-year-old who is yet to reach his prime going to come along? And how many times do you want to hold on to a 6'4" shooting guard, let this pass, and then that player doesn't pop?
You talking about the Frank Ntilikina thing, right? When Knicks fans didn't want to trade Frank Ntilikina into Anthony Davis. Remember Anthony Davis put out the two teams?
But you know what? I didn't even take Knicks fans shit. Like when I used to hear that, I used to just roll my eyes, because I'm like, if y'all don't know the difference between a star,
Knicks fans were like, I don't care who they take, as long as they don't take Frank. What? For Anthony Davis? His thumb is always hurt. Oh, for Anthony Davis? Are y'all serious? This is why. Yeah. For this reason, I just like looking at players for their true value. Right. Ultimately their true value. Right. Because I was there. I was on Twitter. Me, Chuck B, Free Keith, Oops, everybody. We was on Twitter arguing every day. This is before I met Sim. Arguing every day. That y'all know it, the Knicks thread that's ongoing. Y'all know it. I'm in it, right? That thread on Twitter, the one that won't die. They was like, yo, man, I'm not including Frank in a trade for Anthony Davis. And then here we are. People are like, yo, I'm not including Quentin Grimes in a trade for Donovan Mitchell. And people want me to take this stuff. I'm not trolling y'all, man. Think about what I'm saying. A dude that averaged 6 points a game, a 67% free throw shooter, a guard that can't do guard stuff, right? A guard that can't play, make, and facilitate, a guard that can't shoot from the free throw line, known to be a defender. Y'all are going to hold up a Donovan Mitchell, a 3-time All-Star for that.
But I think the Knicks are doing that. I think if you ask the Knicks fans, they would prefer not to trade an IQ or Obi. I think the Knicks fans in the chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, are okay with Grimes. I think for whatever reason, the Knicks want Grimes. But I think if the fan base had to choose, they would hold on to an IQ or Obi over Grimes. And I would say all of them. Right. Any one of them can go.
Any of them.
Multiple.
All Yo, hey, so Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, you would be fired for lack of seeing upside and which teams value most. Grimes is a rookie who guards the best and spreads the floor. NBA scouts. Maybe so. Paris Duggar, I never said ultimately that I'm right. I'm saying this is my feeling. I'm saying that I've been in this position before. So I'm not saying that my opinion is the end all be all for any Knicks conversation, especially this one. What I am saying is when you're in a certain spot, your senses tell you that this thing is familiar, right? Y'all call it I call it familiarity. Some people call it deja vu. You call it what you want. But when you've been in similar situations over and over and over again, and the things feels familiar, there's something to that.
Right.
A 6-point per game guy known as a defender, the Knicks been doing that for years. For years.
You could put Dotson in that too.
Dotson too.
You could put Dotson in there. But let me say this to Paris Duggar. You can also be fired for passing on a Donovan Mitchell because you see such upside in Grimes and he doesn't pan out. You could be fired for that as well.
Right.
You could be fired both ways. That's why it's important to analyze and make the best decision you can, given what you know. At some point, you do have to take a small leap of faith.
Right.
But I'm not. To me, Grimes and Donovan Mitchell, that's a no brainer.
Like, what are we even talking about?
Like, what's the upside? So I'm gonna sit here and say, you know what? Grimes is gonna be better than Donovan Mitchell, so I'm gonna hold on to him. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is, he might. But already, this guy has 3 All-Star. Like that's not even that. That's not.
And the funny thing about it too, Queen, is this: even if that is the gospel, even if that's the God's honest truth, how long are you waiting for Grimes to become that guy? And while you wait, is Donovan Mitchell still gonna put up those All-Star numbers? So while you wait for that guy to get to his jump-off point, Donovan Mitchell is already performing.
Right. Like,
so now,
what's the reason to wait on Grimes? Like, why? Because he's going to be cheaper? Because, like, what's the reason to wait and hope this guy's going to pop? Why?
Because Queen, think about this. Because even if you wait for Grimes, that means you'll basically get that first-year rookie contract with no production, right? And then, so the whole thing go by while you wait on this guy, unless Knicks fans are saying that Quentin Grimes is ready right now. And if y'all are saying Grimes is ready to be Spider right now, then I would ask y'all what's in y'all cup. Because there is no way on this green earth that Quentin Grimes is going to be as good as Donovan Mitchell this season. And if y'all agree with me, then you're saying, well, no, not this season, in 2 seasons. Wait a minute. So you telling me, wait 2 seasons, wait to year 4 for Quentin Grimes to be a starter? Because 1 year is gone. You telling me to wait 2 more years, 1 + 1 = 2, and then that next year, the 4th year, you're telling me that's the year that Grimes might pop. No, thank you. I think Grimes is frank. Grimes got to change his number this year. He got to take off number 6 because of the Bill Russell thing. I would give Grimes 11.
And not only that, even if he does pop, nobody's going to blame you for taking more of a sure thing.
Right. Right.
Nobody is going to blame you for taking that.
Right. And
taking that bet.
I'm sorry. And Louisiana Knicks says, Obi, quickly, Grimes, are they replaceable? Yes. In life, everybody's replaceable. Everybody. Everybody, unless you are at the top looking back at the rest of the field,
right?
You are replaceable. And if you're on top and your mortality is coming into question, you are still replaceable. Right? Like, say if you're a Kevin Durant right now and you're looking back at everybody else, Kevin Durant is still replaceable. You know why? Because those dudes climbing towards the top, maybe younger than him, doing the same things as him, and all he did was experience. So everybody, when you think about mortality and how long you're on top, everybody is replaceable. Right? So Paris Duggar says, thank you, Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, on the Monty Show today, you do not trade a Grimes for a Donovan Mitchell. Scouts honor. The Jazz want Grimes, and Leon said no. So you are so completely off. But the thing about that is this. First of all, maybe I am completely off, right? But here's the thing I know for a fact. You never heard Leon Rose say that. Show me the source. You show one source that says Leon Rose says no. Show me the source, not a secondhand account, where Leon Rose unsealed his lips and said no.
Right.
And I will be on your team. I'll be with you.
And not just that. Best believe it's a package. And now in this package, I don't want to include Grimes. But if Utah came and said, I'll trade you Grimes for Donovan Mitchell straight up, the Knicks would do that in a heartbeat.
That would have
So
already been
talking
done.
about.
Yeah, that would have already been done.
You don't trade a Grimes for a Donovan Mitchell. Like that statement right there, I don't even know what to say about that.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't trade a Grimes. Think about it. Hold up. Everybody slow down. Think about that. You don't trade a Grimes for a Donovan Mitchell. Are we serious right now? You understand what I'm saying? The only reason is probably because it's a package, and in that package, they would prefer not to put Grimes in the package. Right. But it's not straight up. I wouldn't trade a Grimes for a Donovan Mitchell. Come on now, but let's relax.
Yeah.
I think we doing too much here.
We got the cart before the horse. we got the cart pulling the horse.
You wouldn't trade a Donovan Mitchell for a Grimes. But I'm pretty sure it's a package, and the Knicks probably want to keep him out of the package.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. The whole thing. So for one, if Grimes has value, I'm glad. I just don't see it. And quite honest with you, from day one, I've been trying to convince myself that something is there. I've been trying to convince myself. I've been on the live stream. They asked me about Grimes. And I've been trying to not call him a ham sandwich out of respect for our young players, right? Right? I've been trying not to do that.
I don't think he's a ham sandwich. I really like him, but that wouldn't stop.
Well, what kind of ham sandwich is it? What kind of I wouldn't call him a 7-Eleven deli sandwich, the one with the shrink wrap. I wouldn't call him that, right? But he definitely, yeah. Think about it. Would you start him over Evan Fournier right now? Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like him. I like him for what he does, and I think he'll be. I think before the injury, he was efficient, and I think he will be efficient because he's not going to be taking 12, 11 shots. He's not. He's going to be playing off of guys standing in the position, waiting for the ball to come for him to shoot, and he's a better defender than Fournier. But I think where Fournier has the edge is he's a better shooter than Grimes, even though he's not a good defender.
And he stays healthy.
He stays healthy. He has good leadership skills, and he's a vet.
Right. So Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, "Hey Queen, that's you." It of course meant with 4 picks. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now
even with 4 picks. Come on. I like Grimes.
I just don't see it. I just.
He's not holding up a Donovan Mitchell trade. I'm sorry.
I want to see it. Wisdom. Sarge is in the chat. Wiz, am I wrong, man? Wiz is my guy. Wiz is one of the backbones of the channel. Wiz, I just don't see it, bro. Somebody help me. Somebody help me see the Grimes thing. A 6'4" guy that can't handle the ball, not a playmaker, facilitator, right?
He's shot. A shooting guard, though. He's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard, and I think he can handle the ball and facilitate. But that's not his role as a shooting guard. Catch it and shoot. We need shooters on this team.
Well, I would say this, Quinn. Mm-hmm. I disagree with the we need shooters thing, right?
No. Wow.
Because I think we need bucket getters. I think there's a distinct
I agree with that. No, there is a difference.
Because when you look at the way that these guys, they didn't suffer from a lack of shooting. They shot the ball a lot. They just didn't make it a lot.
But that's what I mean, like shooters who can actually put it in the basket.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is the reason why I make the distinction is because I think sometimes we think that average NBA players can take that next step up if they just take more shots.
No. No.
Average NBA players are going to be average NBA players just with more shot attempts.
No doubt about it.
That's what I'm saying there. I'm not. I just don't see it in Grimes, man. People are telling me and then summer league when he had a chance to play against low level competition, he didn't have a 15 for 21 game, right? He didn't have a 14 for 20 game, right? He didn't have like that game. Oh my God, Grimes just hit 6 straight threes. He didn't have that game against dudes that you will never see again in your life, right?
Yeah.
And so
he was inefficient. I cannot. And then you throw that 67% free throw percentage in there. And
so last year,
that dimmers your hope that he will be that because
our measure of what a shooter is starts at what he does at the free throw line.
Yep.
Frank Ntilikina.
Nah. I mean, I agree with you. That maybe his ceiling may not be that high, but Frank, nah. He gonna be better.
I honestly.
He already got more minutes last year than Frank got probably his entire career in New York.
All right, but yeah, I think they had to do with. But you know what they had to. Yeah, Frank is trash, but Grimes is not trash. I'm not ready to call Grimes basura. I'm not ready to do that yet. I will call Grimes a very upscale gas station ham sandwich. You know the gas station that have like 40 pumps and they have the area that you walk in and they have like the sandwich cabinet and like all the different sandwiches and the sandwiches are actually made that day and not from the day before. I think Grimes is that kind of ham sandwich. But yeah, he ain't a low budget gas station ham sandwich though.
I think he's gonna surprise you, but 3-and-D guy. That's it. I mean, if he doesn't develop any further than that, 3-and-D is okay. But you right. That summer league gave me pause, and that free throw percentage does give you pause, no doubt about it.
Because we're saying he's a shooter, but he can't shoot.
Right.
And so now we're saying, okay, he's a question mark and D guy. Well, ain't that the same thing as Frank?
Nah.
Okay, all right.
He's a better shooter.
How athletic is he? Is he?
No, I don't
way
see
more
him
athletic.
I don't see him as an athletic guy.
The same thing with Frank.
Right.
The same thing with Frank. You didn't see Frank as an explosive athlete, right?
No.
But what about Grimes? Whoa, what about a high volume rebounder?
He's a better rebounder he's a good rebounder for his size, actually. He'll get you 5-6 rebounds. For his size, he's a very good rebounder.
All right.
But I would like to see what was his field goal percentage prior to the injury. I think he was shooting like 38% from 3.
Might have been. I'm gonna pull it up, but I'm gonna answer these 2 super chats real quick. Paris Douglas says, but y'all are downing all reports today. Stop. No, Paris Douglas. What I'm saying
Paris Douglas has the emotional anchor. I don't even know if he's able to move around. He
right,
has
the big chain, the big anchor
for a few of these Knicks players.
Right. I have it for RJ. I ain't gonna lie to you. No matter what you say about RJ, I'm like, nope. So, so Paris Douglas says quickly was awful last summer league. Y'all like, no, man. Oh, see, now you going at my heart. Paris Douglas, now you going at my heart with quickly. So you know exactly what to do. Okay. I got you. Man, listen, man. I love Quickly, man. It don't matter what y'all say about Quickly. Yeah, I'll be like, he not a point guard, he not this, he not that. It don't matter. I still have a place in my heart for Quickly and RJ. My three babies are Quickly, RJ, and Cam. And I know that's divisive because other people's babies are Grimes, Obi, and Deuce McBride.
Dude, listen.
And I don't even know how we. I tried to like Deuce McBride too. I think I like him, and he's not in my top 3 of the babies. Right. And if he not careful, Farron Hunt is Fahrenheit, like Queen, you know how you have a nephew that always say you don't know why he the favorite, but every time he show up, you're like, yeah, that's my man right there. Come here, old man, let me give you some money. You know what I'm saying? He and the other nieces, I've been here 2 hours. You ain't said nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Let me just say this before I'm pulling up this article from the New York Post talking about Grimes' return from injury. So prior to that, from 3-point range, he was shooting 39.8%, almost 40% from three prior to the injury. He was a sniper almost. So and his effective field goal percentage was 58%. So I do think that the injury slowed him down. And I do think what the Summer League revealed is what you said. Just because you're shooting a good percentage with 5 shots a game doesn't mean you're going to continue to shoot that same good percentage with 12 shots a game.
With more shots.
A lot of people would say, oh, if you get more shots, you're going to be able to duplicate it. No, when you get more shots, you can be exposed as well.
Right. No, I agree with you.
So
I agree.
Which Grimes is it? The one before the injury or the one after the injury and in Summer League?
Frank. That's what I think Grimes is. I think Grimes is Frank Ntilikina. I ain't gonna lie to you, because all these
40% from three prior to the injury in a limited touches though.
And Frank Ntilikina, there were 2 obscure stats. I can't remember what they were, but it was like 2 obscure stats for Frank.
Pick and roll defense.
Like Frank was the number 1 pick and roll defender, and I think Frank Ntilikina led the league, led the NBA. And left corner 3-point percentage, it was like 60% or something like that. And cats would come at me every day. It was like picking at a scab. Every day they were like, "You better leave Frank in that left corner."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Why he didn't put Frank in and put him in the left corner? We would have won that game.
We'd have won that game, right? It was like picking at a scab. That's how he did me for like 3 years. But yeah, so yeah, I dig it. And listen, I want Grimes to be more than that. And I would love for Grimes to prove me wrong. But in my mind is telling me that Grimes is a ham sandwich. And I knew it from day one. And if Grimes becomes a 12-point per game scorer this year, I'll eat my words. Y'all know me. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
Yeah.
If Grimes comes out, if Grimes comes out and is 12, 13, 14 points a game, is showing off that defense and is shooting like 40% from three, and the free throw thing was just an anomaly or something. Come on, man. We be together too often for me to hold on to something that's wrong. Right? So Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, Queen, you got me wrong. I just don't allow misinfo. Nah, man.
But that's not misinfo. It's opinions.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is sourcing. Y'all know how it is. When you're in high school, you go to college, you go, you know what I'm saying, you're working on your degree. When you work on your paper, they're like, yo, you just can't quote nobody. You got to have a source that we can find and track that information back to. And in this case, the Leon Rose saying that he won't trade Grimes thing is not a source that we can track back to Leon Rose. If it was, I'd be like, you know what, you were right. Right? You know, and I know, I know it's tough saying these things about the kids, man, but I'm not saying that Grimes, that I'm excited that Grimes is a ham sandwich. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm not excited about Grimes being a ham sandwich. What I'm saying is this feels like deja vu. A 6'4", 6'5" guard that's probably more suited as a small forward, but he's not tall enough, is a good wing defender, you know what I'm saying, can't play make, has a lot of shortcomings in this game, is all of a sudden the next. I already been through this before, man. We already been through the Darryl Walker, with the Darryl Walkers, the Trent Tuckers. Come on, man. We've been through this 1,000 times already. And now we're going through it again, and we make it seem like that Uncle Freezy is off his rocker. Nah, man, I'm good.
I think he's going to be he's a role player right now, but he's a better role player than Frank. He's already in the rotation.
He's definitely a role something. He's definitely a role. That bread he's on is probably. So Paris Tucker says Klay Thompson and Curry took 3.5 years. Right.
But you saw something.
So Steph Curry took 3 years, right? I'm gonna pull up Steph Curry stats. Steph Curry took 3 years.
Paris Tucker, if you looking at any of these guys and thinking they're gonna become anything close to Klay Thomas and Curry, to the point that you're gonna let players who have produced in this league go by the wayside because you think one of these guys is gonna be Curry or Thompson, you're gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose your job.
So I got Steph Curry up first, right? And I'm not arguing with Paris Tucker. I'm arguing with his point. So Paris Tucker, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just arguing with your point. All right. Steph Curry's numbers are on the screen. Okay, year one, Steph Curry scored 17.5 points a game. Okay, next. Steph Curry in year one, 17 points a game. Year two, 18.6. Who's next? Let's do Klay Thompson because the Steph Curry one was crazy. The Steph Curry one was crazy. Let's do somebody else because it didn't take Steph Curry no 3.5 years. That's why and Queen for the record, that's the reason why I call Klay Thompson a ham sandwich. Because we wanted people on the show legit are always saying that Quentin Grimes is gonna be the next such and such 3D player before he even had his jersey. Right? If the Knicks had said another name, they'd have been like, that name the Knicks just said is going to be the next. That's my opinion on it. The only reason why we say that about Grimes is because Grimes is ours. But I don't see it. I just don't.
And go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, boss.
I was gonna say, keep in mind, some players do develop late, but not everybody. So you can't look at ours and be like, oh, well, some people develop late. All 4 of ours could develop late. I mean, what's the chances of that happening?
What are the chances of that, boss? What are the chances of that? Right? And also, okay, so just for the record, I'm going to pull up Klay Thompson's numbers, and I don't really have to because I already know that it didn't take 3.5 years. But all right, Klay Thompson, year one, 12.5, year two, 16.6, year three, 18.4. And every year since, he's been a 20-point per game scorer. Right? Is that what Grimes showed you? Did Grimes show you 86.8% from the free throw line? Did Grimes show you 41.4% from three on high volume? Nah, that's not what he. Yeah, man. What I'm saying is if Grimes is just a dude, let's just let Grimes be a dude. You know what I mean? If Grimes is, let me do a check just real quick. So Queen, I want to check to see if we hit 700 yet. I want to check and see if we hit 700 yet. We should be at 701, something like this. Come on, guys, y'all. We 3 subs away, man. Come on, y'all. We three subscribers away. So Queen, I got a date, right? I got a date tonight. But listen. I want to do one more hard topic before we go.
Okay.
Right? I want to do one more hard topic before we go. And so you can pick the topic, which I don't prefer because I know how you don't pull no punches.
Because
go ahead, quit. I'm just joking with you. I'm just joking with you.
I don't know if I have another tough question. Well, we did the RJ Barrett thing already, but
Yeah,
just quickly, if his representation is adamant about him signing a max contract, are you signing him or are you trading him? If they're adamant about the max, like you okay signing them for less than the max, but they're adamant that they're not going to accept anything less than the max.
I love RJ Barrett. I love RJ Barrett. I would give him, and I know this is going to sound responsible and reckless, but I would give him the max because I want him to stay.
Okay.
I want RJ to stay, man. I love RJ, man. I love RJ. I love Quickly. I love Cam. Right? Those are my three babies, right? I love those three. I want all three to stay. Those are the three that I want. Now, am I saying that I don't want the other ones? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. If I have to give RJ the max in order for him to stay, I would consider it. Right? I have to consider it. And I know everybody's like, no, you can't give RJ the max. I would give RJ the max for a couple of reasons. One, for what he means to the city. Two, $37 million a year in 2025 is not $37 million a year in 2027 based on his salary cap spiking in 2025. Right? So the money that you get, like right now, what RJ makes $8 million or something like that, $9 million, something like that. Mm-hmm. $9 million a year to say Pat Ewing and them was like, oh my God, I can't believe you paying that guy. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, if you use perspective about what you pay RJ, yeah, man, I just don't want to see RJ go, unless we considering the Donovan Mitchell deal or some star, then I would cry a river and get over it, just like that.
Okay.
Just like that, man. Just like that. What I'm saying is, ultimately, I say do what you gotta do to keep RJ. That's from my fandom. Now, when you ask me to be fiscally responsible, no, RJ don't deserve no max money. RJ needs to embrace a bigger role, a leadership role, like on the court, not off the court. RJ does all the stuff off the court. RJ's professional. He do all the press conferences. He say all the right things in the press conferences. If it's him and two other players or him and another player, he encouraged that other young player to embrace the media. RJ does all of the professional stuff. RJ does all that stuff. It's just the efficiency thing that bothers me. So let me ask you a tough question before I get out of here. Right? Mm-hmm. How long are we going to hold on to Johnny Bryant? What's he here for? What are we holding on Johnny Bryant for?
I mean, we're going to hold on to him until either he becomes the head coach of the Knicks or he lands a job somewhere else. I mean,
why? But why is he one of the highest paid assistants in the league? And from what we see, he don't do nothing.
But you know what? I think a lot of it, one, I think it was the development, how he helped Donovan Mitchell develop. The Knicks had a lot of young players.
And Damian Lillard.
The Knicks had a lot of young players. They wanted him here to help with the development of the young players. And then I think they were always going to make a play for Donovan Mitchell. And him and Donovan Mitchell work closely together. I don't know if they're friends, but I know they work closely together in Utah. So right. I think that was part of it as well.
Right. Wow. I'm leaning towards not liking Johnny Bryant.
What did he do?
Nothing. And for that reason, I am soured on Johnny Bryant.
But he can what he can only we don't know the contribution he's making behind the scenes.
We don't.
And then we don't know how much Tibbs is allowing, taking his input.
I understand. I understand that too. But my deal is even when you do things in private, you see signs of manifestation come through in public, right? That's just how these things are. Like, you should see signs of some type of manifestation, right? Like we should see something happening with the kid, a kid that Johnny Bryant is working with. We don't see it. We don't see nothing. Like when we go to the games, all we see is Johnny Bryant talking to people, Tibbs, and his favorite assistants are huddled up talking, and Johnny Bryant is talking to the players like, "Hey man, you got to keep shooting, keep your head in the game. Let's go, team. Let's go." You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that I've seen and I hadn't seen all the games, so I'm not saying that the dude don't do nothing, but where has Johnny Bryant? Can somebody point out where Johnny Bryant has made an impact on this team in the 2 years he's been here?
I don't know if you would see that though. And the Knicks are so tight-lipped. It's not even something that would come out in the media. Like in certain teams in the paper, you would see, oh, this assistant coach was working with this guy, and that's why this is better and that's better. You're not going to get any of that from the Knicks organization. Okay. You're not going to get that. Like with Golden State, we know that Mike Brown was pretty much running the defense on that team. Even if that was happening on the Knicks, you wouldn't hear that.
And Kenny Atkinson developing their young guards, right? But on the Knicks, you can't speak to anything that Johnny Bryant did. And is it about the Knicks being tight-lipped, or is it about
he ain't
doing nothing? He ain't doing nothing. And so, for instance, give you an example. When Big Guy left due to the Louisville job,
Kenny Payne.
When Kenny Payne left, you saw Mitchell Robinson's free throw percentage go through the toilet, right? So clearly, he was helping Mitch with something, because after he accepted the job and Say being left, Randle's production fell off. Mitchell Robinson's production fell off. So you knew that there was some type of impact, like with adjustments. Hey man, they doing this. When they do this, do this. But with Johnny Bryant, we can't point to any of that stuff. Now, because I think you may be right. Like maybe there is something happening behind the scenes where my guy is doing a lot of stuff and we just don't see it. Right. But I'm saying after 2 years, shouldn't we see some signs of something? Yeah. 2 years is a long time.
Yeah, but the Knicks work in such a way that I'm not sure that would leak out.
Right. Hey, and Paris Duggan says, thank you for your generous contribution. Paris Duggan says, it doesn't pay to super chat if the host doesn't read it right. We have only so many characters to convey a point. You got to read with thought for us. Hey, Paris Duggan, I know how to read. And if doing super chats is a problem for you, don't do it. I'll be just fine. You can take that. You can take that the way you want to take it. If you feel like this is a problem for you, don't do it. But you ain't gonna sit up here and play me like I'm dumb, like I can't read.
Right. And if you want it, and if there's more you want to say in a point, you got to say it. We can't read into what you're trying to say with that point. You specifically said in one of the super chats, you wouldn't, you would not trade a Grimes for a Donovan Mitchell. It was clear as day. Now, if you're saying that there was more to it, it was more nuancy, and you didn't have enough characters to make your full point, how am I to know that? All I see is you saying caps. I would not trade a Grimes for a Donovan Mitchell.
Right. And come on, man, and playing the host just because you got bread, you're gonna try to play the host and play my chat. Come on, man. Don't be trying to play my chat like that, bro. All of us up here are passionate Knicks fans. This ain't even about bread, bro. We doing this because we love the Knicks. And Paris Duggar says, point miss. You got it. Yep. Bro, I'm not an idiot, bro. Come on, man. Don't try to play me like that, man.
And another thing,
trying to play. And for the record, y'all know, man, I love me some Paris Duggar, man. But look, man, sometimes we go too far with stuff.
Right.
For this right here, all you had to do was you didn't even have to do the super chat. All you could have did was, hey, saying, look, hey man, listen, this is my point right here. Hey, read this one right here. You didn't even have to do the super chat. You could have put a regular comment and said, yo, Uncle Freezy, read this one.
Right.
And I'd have did that.
Another thing, and this is not Paris Duggar, that gets me with people, and sometimes even on a panel. You disagree with something and they feel you must not have gotten it. So they keep saying the same thing over and over. No, I got it. I just disagree. They're like, oh no, wait.
Reasonable minds can disagree.
One more time. Let me say it one more time because she must not be getting it. No, I got it.
Reasonable minds can disagree. Reasonable minds can disagree. People do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Queen disagreed. I think I counted like three or four times, and we together on the lives. We together. She thinks Grimes is the GOAT. I think Grimes is Frank.
Oh nah. I think he's a rotation player, 3-and-D guy, rotation player.
But the 3 is, well, you said no, the 3 is not missing. The 3 is there. So he does shoot the 3.
Yeah, but you make a good point. That 40% I was talking about before the injury, is that Grimes? Or the Grimes after the injury and in summer league? Is that the Grimes, the inefficient Grimes?
The healthy Grimes in summer league? The healthy Grimes. All right, so Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, catch yourself. Nobody's trying to dish. Nah, that's the way I took it. And that's the way I took it. I took like I'm being played in front of all these people. I feel like I'm being played in front of 115 people. That's the way I took it. But the Grimes, but Queen, to your point, a healthy Grimes, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
A healthy Grimes in summer league against bad competition, and you saw inefficiencies.
Right. But what I will say, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm making an excuse, what that showed me was not that he can't shoot, but what that showed me is that he's not ready for that type of role where he's the number one guy. He's going to be the one taking all the shots. That showed me he's not ready for that. His role is just play off of guys. They're going to pass it to you in an open spot, shoot it. Right. You're not ready for an expanded
spot up guy.
Right. That's what it showed.
I feel you. I feel you. And so Walter White says, hey, you need a call-in line.
Yeah,
hey, thank you.
Together too.
Hey, Walter White. Hey, thank you for that. Hey, Walter. The reason why I don't do the call-in line is because I don't have a producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for most of the time, it's like an open panel, and right. So I can't do all of this. I can't do all of that, right? And monitor the calls, right?
Right.
And make sure it ain't like some bozo calling in, and keep the dialogue going and all that stuff. Like one of these days when we get big, we'll do a call-in line. I would love a call-in line, bro. I'd love that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what I offer on most shows, like about 85% of the shows, is I'll drop the link in the chat.
Right.
And people can come up and say, say whatever. And so that is my alternative to that. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that I want to do a lot of stuff, but at this point I can't be everything to everybody right now. But we working on that stuff. Maybe one of these days we'll be big enough where I can hire somebody to monitor the phone lines and do the production, where I can just sit behind the mic and just rock.
Right.
Right. One of these days. Queen, I gotta get out of here.
I appreciate
because I got dogs that need to go outside.
Yes.
I got dogs that need to go outside in here holding it. You know that you're anyway. Thank you again. We got to get back together and do this on your channel.
Yeah, definitely. Or figure out the link up so that way it won't even matter. We could just
and so thank everybody for supporting us during this. Yes, we are doing the Knicks at Night podcast in a few minutes. I'm gonna go grab a few things to eat, right? And then come back probably. Man, it's 11. Jeez.
Right.
I don't know if I'll be able to do it. But what I will say, what I'll say is this: I'll try to do it. Maybe we can get together for about an hour and a half later on tonight, and then we can run, right? And Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, I'm super chat to help a sponsorship and a great thing. I hear you. Hey, bro, and listen. Listen. We're not coming away from this with hard feeling.
No, absolutely not.
We're not coming away from hard feeling. You said something, I said something, we don't agree. We still the same people we was before we got here.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's what mature adults do. People are gonna disagree on some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And maybe was I too touchy with some things? I don't know. I have to think about that. But when it comes to a thing like when you say you have to read a certain thing, that's telling me I'm not reading right. And think about what I'm saying, right? All right, y'all. We gonna get out of here, Queen. Thank you again for coming through.
Appreciate
it. Hey, man. Hey, y'all. I think I will see y'all in a few. I don't know yet. I'm gonna try to, but we'll see. Okay. All right, y'all. Later.